Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Premier Sim Gaming League's PSGL, that is, with me, George Morgan. Did you ever expect to see me here at all? Well, here we are on PSGL soil, and I'm joined by my famed Irish co-commentator, Jack Kinnan. Jack, how are you, sir?
Oh, I'm feeling fantastic. It's been ages, bloody ages since we've been on F1, and what a way to bring it in PSGL with the very first PC tier, the first PC race ever in PSGL history. We're sitting in the lobby waiting to go. Such a fantastic grid of names about to come up. Full qualifying session and some new toys to play with for the stream. Hope to God they work, but we've got some new toys.
Yes, we got some new toys to play with here on the broadcast, folks. I'm looking forward to bringing them to you. I've got to say, I've been waiting for this for such a long time, for us to actually land on PSGL soil, and I'm so glad to be here. It certainly has been one of the most rapidly expanding leagues. They've got one mission on their mind, that's expansion, growth, and innovation, and that's exactly what I'm all about here, and I'm trying to revolutionize things in commentary, and I'm hoping we can do things like that tonight. As Jack alluded to, we have got a cracking grid amongst the drivers we have on this list today for the PC Championship, the very first PC Championship here at PSGL. Jack, should we go through some of the names? I think we should.
Yeah, let's. So I'm just going to go from the top of what the lobby list is showing right now. Returning for a long absence from League Racing, Tino Nakarinen in the Red Bull, who is of course joining us, and then we have Tom97, of course, great addition to the grid, driving for Ferrari. Julian Naumann driving with the Alpha Tauri. Dylan Warren, Racing Point. Return to League Racing again, Philip Preschnader in the Ferrari Esports driver for last season's F1 Esports. Calvin Klein in the Mercedes. Then the ever powerful Barry Boremand in the Alfa Romeo. And actually, let's just stop on Alfa Romeo for a second, George, because these are the guys to beat, I think. You've got Barry Boremand in the Alfa and Jarno Watmir in the other Alfa. What a team.
Are we talking about, you got on one level the guy who is the current F1 Esports World Champion. Of course, he's broken many records, certainly when it comes to time trial. We've seen how he drives in certainly League Racing before. Jack, me and you have had the pleasure of commentating on him in the past. It's been a phenomenal experience watching him race, but he's now got a youngster coming up, and someone who perhaps didn't get the opportunity that he probably deserved in the Pro Series, Barry Boremand. But we know from previous commentaries, certainly from when we've commentated on this man before, he is absolutely incredible, Jack. He has got so much talent. He has got an abundance of pace. His racecraft is superb. What are Alpha doing? They're bringing in two phenomenal talents. Has this teed up a potential championship-winning team for the future? I personally believe so.
Yeah, it would be fantastic. It's going to be great to see them go toe-to-toe while also trying to go for the constructors in this championship. But yeah, definitely ones to watch. Then VSR Domi in the Renault tonight, filling in for Fabrizio Donoso, who unfortunately couldn't make it today, but great to see VSR Domi there. Then Kyle Mitchell filling in at Haas for Simon Weigang tonight. So the Canadian, it's going to be quite early in the day for him over there in Canada, so fair play. Matthias Colligan from McLaren in there as well, a teammate with the returning Josh Idawu. That's going to be a very strong team as well. Colligan, we know how fast he is, and Josh Idawu, I mean, he's in the Challengers, and he's probably one of the dark horses for this season for sure. Josh Idawu, one to watch for me as well. Nicolas Mateo in the Williams, a very fast 16-year-old from Spain, up and coming. Then of course Lucas UK, our fantastic lobby host for tonight, and definitely he's one for the points. He's always thereabouts as Lucas. Flores Veyers in the Haas, then Alvaro Caraton in the Williams. Now, George, I want to point out Alvaro Caraton because, of course, he took pole here in F1 Esports. So I wonder, is he going to get the ball rolling with pole straight away tonight?
He could well do. Very talented Spaniard. We actually had the pleasure of interviewing him previously, and we went through his history of getting into sim racing, and I've got to say, a very incredible story. And he certainly only has one thing on his mind, and that is purely getting better as a driver, and he certainly has the potential to be excellent. And Williams have got a very class act on their hands. He's absolutely amazing in that car, and I've got to say that Austrian pole lap was absolutely incredible. So he's coming back to old turf now. He knows this track, he knows it well, he's been here before. Surely he's one of the guys who can put a top level time on the board, and I would not write him off at all for this one. Certainly, Alvaro Carreton, very pacey character, Jack, gotta say.
Yeah, absolutely is. Then the final couple, we've got Ruben Vallejo in the Racing Point. A very strong driver is Ruben. Then in the other Red Bull, it's an all-Finnish lineup in Red Bull. You've got Tino Nakarinen and Atte Kalpanen in the Red Bull. And then the other Renault filled in by Sven Nöller, also going to be very strong in that Renault. We're currently still in the lobby. We're waiting for one driver, and that is Sven Zerner. He's having a few problems, unfortunately, tonight. So we're going to wait and see if he's going to make the grid or not. But we're getting prepped. It'd be great to see a full grid, but we are going to have at least 19 drivers on the grid tonight. But very, very strong grid. Can't wait to see how this is going to go. And of course, for the first time in PSGL, we're using a full qualifying format. So Q1, Q2, Q3. So we've got to be thinking about those tire strategies from the off. Do you use an extra set of tires to get through Q1? Or are you going to focus on purely getting through? So we've got plenty to talk about today. And of course, 50% race as always. And let's see what's going to happen. I don't even know who's going to win here, but certainly from previous races, we've got to go with Jarno Ottmeier, alternate strategy Meister. Let's see if he's going to do that today. He's always known for that alternate strategy. But that's your grid for today, and we're just going to see and wait if Sven Zerner is going to make it in. Hopefully he does.
Yeah, we are indeed waiting for Sven Zerner, of course. We've had, I know he's had a couple of technical issues getting onto the programme today, so fingers crossed we can get him up to speed. I think there are a couple of guys looking to ready up, so hopefully we'll have the action with you very, very shortly. Folks, of course, it'll give me and Jack an opportunity to we'll go through some of the talking points, and certainly full quali is one of the big stigmas in PSGL this season. Very rarely seen in league racing, but I think it is still very, very good when it comes to the broadcast. Very exciting to see who may get knocked out of Q1 and Q2 respectfully. Obviously, Q1 a very, very even though it may be far away from Q3, you've still got the excitement because there's so many drivers out on track, 20 drivers throughout the list. You can hear the timer there, folks. We are about to start. But Q1, Jack, so key. 20 drivers out there looking to stay in the top 15.
Yeah, absolutely. So, of course, for those of you who are unfamiliar with Formula One, you've got this is the first time as well, myself and George have actually done a full qualifying session. This is brand new for us as well, trying to get used to this format. But Q1, the fastest 15 drivers go through, so it's the battle to see who's going to start at the back of the grid. Then, of course, Q2, you try to make it into the top 10. Q2 is particularly important because the tire that you set your fastest lap on in Q2 is the tire that you will start the race on. And then, of course, Q3 is the battle for the all-important pole position. But it's going to be all new for us here at PSGL. It's the beginning of a new era, George, and can't wait to see what this is going to bring for us.
Absolutely not, Jack. I am so excited for this one, and I hope you guys are as well. It's been a long time coming. You've seen the promos. You've seen my video previews that I've done previously, certainly with regards to this league. I've been excited as much as you guys have. Honestly, it's been a long time coming. It's a pleasure to be here, and I hope you're all going to join us for the ride as well. I'm so excited. But we're going to head over to qualifying, Jacks. By the sounds of it, the cars are about to get ready to go. And certainly we'll look forward to seeing what sort of lap times we can expect on this Austrian circuit. Have you got any predictions for us, Jack?
No. Absolutely not. I mean, how could you pick pole out of this grid? But judging off previous F1 Esports form, I've got to go with Alvaro Carreton. He's quick round here. He's got pole in the most competitive grid, which is of course the F1 Esports. So definitely the guy to watch. So who's going to be the driver to take to the track first in PSGL? It's Tino Nakarinen gets the honour of being out on track first in PSGL. Tino
Nakarinen is your first onto the track, folks. So we will head over to qualifying now. As you can see, the drivers now making their way out onto the circuit, and certainly it's going to be interesting to see. And there's it is indeed a Red Bull, of course, being Julian Naumann back on track, or Julian Naumann as we should say. I suppose we should all to get used to the names of the drivers, of course. A lot of them new faces that me and Jack have never commentated on before. But as you can see, this circuit, certainly Austria, very, very sensational racing here in the past. This race was first held in 1963, of course. Last winner was Valtteri Bottas last season. This circuit length, 4.318 kilometers. That's 2.683 miles. One of the shorter circuits on the calendar, but certainly does not disappoint when it comes to racing. And look, Jack, they've got the intermediates on.
They certainly do. As far as I can see, I think Tino is out on softs, but the rest of them have gone on intermediates. So I'm just having a quick look at my new toy. You guys won't see this on stream. I'm running with the telemetry analysis software, of course, TAS. I'm keeping an eye on everything that's going on. And I've got Julian Naumann on inters, and Ate Kaupanen's out on inters, Sven Nöber's on inters, Floris Weier's on inters. So plenty of guys just do this to get it to save a set of tires and come back into the pit lane to, again, just save those tires. So inters we're going to see. It's an unusual strategy, but it works. So you're gonna. This is just the classic thing that you're going to see at the start of Q1. Driver saving a set of tires by going out on intermediates, just doing an outlap get and just saving one set of tires, because one set of tires getting saved could mean the difference in the race, you know?
Absolutely. Well, here is Sven Nöller now making his way around this circuit. And of course, this is a great chance for us to actually witness this man out on track. And here comes none other than the Halo graphic that we've now installed here. So we'll now watch Sven Nöller heading up towards the Remus curve. As you can see, currently first on track according to the telemetry data, obviously subject to times. Comes up to Remus now, braking maybe a little bit prematurely, but runs around look a little slow. Obviously, the intermediate tyres not allowing too much grip. And certainly as Sven Nöller makes his way down towards Schlossgold now. This is in between turns 2 and 3, folks. Wants to brake in between the 100. Obviously, being the fact that he's got inters on, Jack has to brake slightly earlier. Comes round now towards the Roche bend. This is the little right-hander before Roche. Now he's making his way around the left-handed Roche bend now towards what will be the Wirth curve. Now, these two double lefts, very tricky. You can very easily lose grip, especially with the compound he's got on, and send yourself into the gravel trap. Not ideal. Just to say though, folks, the use of inters obviously allow them to maintain, at least keep a pair of tyres, or a set of tyres aside in order to ensure that they have got spares available as they come round the final corner now. The Niki Lauda curve, or sorry, not the Niki Lauda curve, the final curve, at least the Red Bull Mobile curve, comes up across the line at 1:15.557. But Jarno Opmeer out on inters at 1:12.845. Sensational, Jack.
112 on those tyres. Great stuff from Jarno Opmeer. So straight out of the box said, of course, Q1 not as important, so you just want to make sure that you make it through in the top 15. So drivers might be taking it totally flat out. Of course, we're looking for times, by the way, in the region of the 1 minute 2s for pole. So that just gives you a sense of the difference of running grooved tires and slick tires. So we're looking for about 10 seconds taken off that time by the time we get to Q3. So around those times we're looking for. So don't take these times as the of course the benchmark, because they're absolutely not. They're just saving tires.
Well, I'm running out of superlatives for Jarno Opmeer, Jack. Flying Dutchman or what? I got to say, 1 minute 12.845 on inters, 2.712 seconds away from Sven Nöller, who was on the same compound. Absolutely incredible. Now, a lot of the drivers are now staying in the pits now. There's apart from Calvin Klein, who has just come out onto the track now for his outlap, so we'll have a look and see what he's doing, of course. But as you can see, it's a very, very empty pit lane as things stand. And there's Calvin now making his way up towards Remus himself. And obviously Mercedes, good driver lineup. Lewis Welch, very well known for being a man who can whack out a hot lap or two. And Calvin himself, certainly no mug on his day. He has talent. He has talent, certainly, Jack.
Yeah, absolutely he does. And I think he has the track to himself actually at the moment, as does Calvin Klein. So he's got a chance to lap around and get used to the circuit. He is certainly out on dries anyway, which is a good start. So at least we've got somebody out on the slick tires. So at the moment, we're of course looking at Calvin as he begins a lap. It is a very fast lap around Austria. So yeah, good lineup at Mercedes, of course, Calvin and Lucas, experienced lineup. So let's see what they're able to do. But I'm sure this lap right here, George, is going to be the first lap to set a genuine time.
Yeah, well, here is Calvin now coming up towards turn 1. This has been the Niki Lauda curve this time, heading up now towards Remus. And you've got a couple of slight kinks in the road leading your way up to that infamous bend, of course. Many cars taken out. Who can forget Hamilton and Rosberg's tangle at this very corner? You're almost turning back on yourself on this one. It's over 90 degrees, but as he makes his way out, the DRS hit, and he's gone purple in Sector 1. No surprise on soft tyres. Coming down towards Schloss Gold now. And takes a lot of the curve there to get the best inside line, cuts through. Lovely stuff there from Calvin Klein. Maybe a little untidy on exit, but comes around now this next left-hander, this being Roche curve. And doesn't even touch the curve there indeed. Makes his way now around the Verth curve. This time not brushing it at all. You want to be careful of that because they are raised curves on the outwards of Firth. Heading down towards what will be the Rint curve now. Jock and Rint, this is named after. Coming round this audacious right-hander, down through the Red Bull Mobile curve. And Calvin Klein is going to net the first soft lap on the board. Here he comes, P1 with a 102.739. A nice one for the Mercedes team. They are up on top spot, Jack.
Yeah, straight out of the box, good lap, 102.739. That's right in the benchmark where you need to be when we get to Q3. Actually, when we get to Q3, we're probably going to be looking at a high 101s for the really, really quick guys, which was I think, from what I remember in F1 Esports, Alvaro Carreton was a 101.9 pole position. So, yeah, that's a good effort from Calvin straight out of the box in Q1. So now we've got more and more drivers coming out on the slick tyres. We've got plenty. We've got Nicholas Mateo's out, Matthias Colligon's out. Visar Domi's out, Floris Veyers is out, and Julian Naumann is also out. And Dylan Warren, I believe, is on a push lap at the moment in his racing points. So now the drivers have given up their set of inters. They're actually going for laps now. And just judging off Dylan Warren, fastest in Sector 1, personal best in Sector 2. So Dylan might be able to take this pole position of a provisional first place away from Calvin Klein. Here he comes to the last two corners. So what is it going to be for this man, Dylan Warren, across the line? He's going to set a invalidation in the final corner. So Dylan almost got it, but it's that last corner. It's so easy to invalidate a lap around here around Austria because the margins are so fine.
Absolutely. Very easy indeed. Levecce as well is coming around on the right-hander. He's subbing in for Fabrizio Donoso and just about to make his way across the line to commence his hot lap. Now that you can see at the bottom there, folks, the new, obviously, HUD. Calvin Klein has obviously set the fastest lap with a 102.739. Now you can compare the deltas between Levecce and him as well. So making his way up through towards Remus. You can see the Alpha just letting him go there. And just a little bit slower there, heading in through Sector 1, though quicker than a time he would have previously set, even though Levecce hasn't quite set one yet as he heads down towards Schloss Gold. The Renault driver now out on his lap. Jarno Watmir is out too. As you can see, that must be the Alfa Romeo behind him as he makes his way around Schloss Gold. And certainly Levecce looking to prove a point, obviously, as any reserve driver would want to. Looking to try and nail a first time on the board. Just how key is it, Jack, if you're subbing in for a driver like Fabrizio Donoso to really impress today?
Yeah, I mean you're filling big shoes with Donoso, so you're on a big stage as well, PSGL in its first time, and the caliber of the grid as well. You've got a lot on your shoulders, so it is crucial to at least finish the race for the team and get a good time. 106.3. So obviously that was not a full pace lap from Levecce, so he's going to go again on a push lap. And I believe Jarno Watmir is out on a set of medium compound tires. He's running everything now. There's Atte Kauppinen to the top, 102.4 for the Red Bull, and he's also a man to watch in this championship.
Yeah, absolutely incredible from Kauppinen, and a new man today in the PC League, as all of them are really, but first time we've properly seen him on track. He did race a few times in ORL where we previously met him, but Jarno Watmir now coming across the line, looking to improve on mediums. He goes up to P3, only just over 7/10 slower than Kauppinen. An incredible lap if you consider the delta times in between the compounds. So Jarno Watmir working wonders on those tyres, Jack, though I would imagine he'd still want that pole.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just having a look at all these mini sectors coming in. Ruben Vallejo, purple sector 1. Barry Borremand, purple sector 2. So there's a big load of times about to come in. So Mateo goes second, 102.52. But Barry Borremand is purple in that middle. So let's see what he's going to be able to do as he comes towards the line. This is a man who's going to be so quick off the mark here. And he's unfortunately invalidated that in the last corner again. So this is going to catch a lot of people out here. But Ruben Vallejo looks like he's going to be the man to watch as well. He was purple in that first sector, personal best. sector 2. So here comes the Spaniard in that racing point, flings it to the last corner, pushes it to the maximum and across the line for Ruben Vallejo to Nakarinen to the top. Ruben Vallejo second, but look at the margins, a thousandth of a second between Atte Kauppinen and Ruben Vallejo, but Nakarinen 102.44 goes to the top by the slimmest of margins.
Absolutely stellar there by Tino Nakarinen, a 102.449, exceptional, but Josh Inoue at the death, amazing scenes there, fastest lap, a 102.341, a tenth quicker than Tino Nakarinen. Have a bit of that, a bit of Welsh magic, Jack.
Yeah, absolutely. He went purple in all sectors there. Barry Burman on an improvement, won purple sector 1, personal best sector 2. So Barry Burman, of course, he invalidated his previous lap. So let's see if he can recover this. And he goes to third, 102.494 thousandths, separating third, fourth, and fifth. But it's P3 for Barry Burman. But still, Josh Inoue with a tenth of a second in hand at Q. Remember, this is just Q1. So we're looking at the drivers in danger down in P15 onwards as Matthias Colligan, Flores Veers, Julian Naumann, Philip Preschneider and Kyle Mitchell are the ones in danger, and they've got to now get themselves inside that top 15. But good start, but look, there's Preschneider, 102.2. Great lap from that Ferrari Esports driver. Unbelievable.
Incredible. Philip Preschneider, take a bow, sir. The Italian there, knocking down the Slovak, should I say, for the Italian team, knocking together a 102.203. The Tifosi would be delighted with that one. And that knocks them on top spot, knocking down Josh Inoue and the McLaren to P2. Nakarinen is in P3. Barry Burman, of course, P4. Vallejo, P5. You get the feeling that Otmir is going to want to put a dent in that as well. Looking here, Lewis Welch out on a time as well. We'll see how he gets on as he makes his way round towards Slosh Gold. And indeed, Lewis Welch, known to be an excellent pad player, certainly where it comes to F1 2020, as he makes his way around Slosh Gold. And here we are, we'll take another look at the halo, and this is when we'll get to see an idea, certainly, of the performance levels of these guys. Obviously, we'll take a look as well at the tyres that a lot of these guys are on, because certainly it is a thread of interest at some point. I mean, I know a lot have been on the medium tyres. A lot of the laps now, though, being set on softs here late in the day. We've only just got over 4 minutes left in this qualifying session, but Lewis Welch bailing, not happy with the lap set, of course. So he is going to box, and hopefully we'll see him out again soon, albeit he's not in the danger zone, Jack.
No, certainly not. I was just looking on there. Colligan was going well, but again, it's another invalidation for the Frenchman. So he's in danger of just not getting a lap in at all. Here, Matthias Colligan. Surprisingly enough, Alvaro Caraton is the man right on the bubble in P15 right now, and I'm sure he's going to be able to get through. But he's going to be thinking about it at least. He's right there on that bubble. Of course, he's going to hope that Colligan doesn't improve. He's going to hope that Flores Veers doesn't improve, but they haven't put in any times yet at all, as has Kyle Mitchell. And Dylan Warren, of course, he's not on a representative time at all. Neither is Sven Nuller. So there is going to be a late twist in this tail in Q1, so nobody is safe at this point.
No one is at all. And Leveche currently 4 seconds. Matthias Colligan, though, with a 102, jumps him right up to P8. A great lap there from Colligan to notch himself into the top 10. So he's out of danger, at least for now. Of course, Leveche making his way around Slosh Gold now. Of course, this newcomer, we spoke about him briefly before, making his way around the next left-hander, needs to try and bring down the gap. He has gone green in Sector 1, Jack, and green in Sector 2, so he is knocking time off the board now. Heading down towards what will be the Jockenring curve under the Fanatec banner, and it's important really here for Leveche to really nestle the time on the board. Comes round the Red Bull Mobile curve now. What is this man going to nail? On the board here at the PSGL PC League qualifying Q1 P10. Gets into the top 10, 4/10 of a second at least off Philip Preschneider. Great lap though, he's out of danger for now, and we'll soon see. But there's 3 cars in the bottom 10, should we say 11th, 12th and 13th, all out on outlaps, one of them being Jarno Watmir, Jack.
Yeah, so let's see if Jarno is going to push to the maximum here. There's a couple of guys with green sectors. Flores Veers on an improvement here in the Haas. So we'll see if he's going to be able to shoot up the grid here in his Haas. Let's see if he can keep it together in the last couple of corners here. Here comes Flores Veres in P14. He's on the bubble. Here he comes across the line. Does he improve? P3 for Flores Veres. And he slots into 102.43. Fine margins again, but he should be safe.
Absolutely phenomenal lap time there. And we're going to obviously, we're going to try and get some fireworks going for you now, folks, because Jarno Watmir, no doubt, will try and aim to provide them. You can see he's just preparing his car ready for a hot lap. So let's ride on board with the Flying Dutchman now. He now heads down the long stretch. DRS is activated past the paddock. Here comes Jarno Watmir across the line. F1 Esports champion from last season, of course, now ready to come into this season, fresh-faced with Alfa Romeo once again. And as he makes his way up through towards Remus, he is going to want to try and nestle down a very competitive lap indeed, and you'd certainly expect that from a man of his calibre as he heads round Remus curve now up towards Sloshgold. DRS once again active for the Dutchman as he makes his way down towards the left-hand side. Of course, Prejneda still on top spot, yet to be beaten, as we now see Jarno make his way around Sloshgold, heading down towards the first corner, which is going to be Roche Bend, between the two double lefts. And as he does so, very smart indeed, takes a lot of the curve on the exit, heading around Verth curve, and take a lot of the corner again. Yellow flags being waved in sector 3. And that is, of course, I believe Alvaro Caraton, who's just going steady on the outset now as Jarno now belts his way round towards the Red Bull Mobile curve. The Flying Dutchman looking to light things up again, loses grip slightly, but he's okay. Across the line, P4 at 102.354 within 2 tenths, 1.5 tenths back. He's getting closer, but it's only P4 for now, Jack.
Yeah, I had a quick little chuckle there, George, because you were saying Alvaro Carton was taking it easy in the last sector. He certainly wasn't. He's just gone second fastest. And there's Borman to the top of the 102.1. As you mentioned, that a tenth of a second across the top 3. Borman is surely safe. Who's on the bubble now? Domish he's right in P15. He's retired. Calvin Klein, is he going to improve? Julian Naumann, Kyle Mitchell, Sven Nuller, and Sven Zerner. So now Nuller and Sven Zerner are not going to make it through, but Kyle Mitchell, he's bailing on his lap. He's not going to make it. Neither is Julian Naumann or Calvin. So there are your bottom guys that are going to miss out on Q2, but currently pace setter Barry Borman in the Alpha.
Absolutely. We have got a bit of a confusion with the numbers here, folks. I think the drivers have gone out with the wrong numbers on some of them. We've got Zerner in a Williams on my screen, according to my telemetry, which is not right. He is meant to be, I believe, in it would be the Alpha Tauri, of course, formerly known as Toro Rosso. But as we're now seeing Lewis Welch coming around the next right-hander, and he will be boxing. But Barry Burraman on top spot late in the death. Sensational heading into Q2. And unfortunately, we have lost the likes of Calvin Klein, Julian Norman, and as well as Sven Nolle, and many others as well. Not ideal at all, Jack, for them. But we are going to be moving into Q2 with a fresh-faced abundance of drivers here today. It certainly has started with a bang here at PSGL.
Yeah, certainly has. Just a few late improvements there. Nicholas Mateo went to P7. Tom 97, good effort. P10 for him. So he's safe in that P10 spot. So now we lose a few drivers. We're going to lose Calvin Klein, Julian Naumann, Kyle Mitchell, Sven Nuller, and Sven Zerner. Of course, he did not take part in qualifying, but he will be starting at the back of the grid, of course. And now Q2 about to come up in a few moments' time, and this is the crunch time, because this is the session that if your fastest lap that you set, of course, whatever tyre you set your fastest lap on is the tyre you will start the race on. So I'm assuming plenty are just going to stick with those soft tyres.
I'd imagine so. They're going to want to be on the quickest compound, certainly. And obviously those outside the top 10, as usual rule in Formula 1, they will get their pick of the compounds. As we now see Tino Nakarunen and, of course, the Williams crossing the line. And it's brilliant to see, Jack, the sunshine here at Austria, allowing the drivers to pull out all the stops on this circuit so we can see the true pace of many. And that is great to see. And we're going to be moving into Q2 with hopefully no expectations. I think, judging from Q1, I think there are certainly some few surprises, but Barry Burraman certainly wasn't a surprise. P1 there for the Alfa Romeo driver. Philip Prejneda, P2. He was in front most of the way around. Alvaro Caraton, P3. Tino Nakarunen, P4. Josh Idawu, P5. Jarno Watmir, P6. Nicholas Mateo, P7. Floris Viers in P8. Dylan Warren, P9. Tom 97. Tom Martinez, P10. Ruben Vallejo, P11. Ate Kuipen in there in P12, Lucas UK, Lewis Welch P13, Matthias Colligon P14, Viasar Domi, Levece in P15, Calvin P16 and has been eliminated. So is Julian Norman, Carl Mitchell, Sven Noller and Sven Zerner, Jack. So those are your runners and riders, at least for now. But what a sensational qualifying session. Lots of drama. The lap times flying in, despite it only being the early stages.
Yeah, absolutely. So the early pace in Q1 is very, very quick indeed. They're already down to the low 102s. So that's right around the pace for pole. So it is going to be a very, very competitive field. And immediately into Q2, look at the sky, George. Very, very dark. So could we maybe see some rain to add some drama to this one?
We could well do, and they are certainly darkening, Jack. We are seeing a little bit of a change in the conditions. So what this is going to do to the drivers, I'm not quite sure, but we are seeing them take to the grid once again for Q2. And we're now going to head back to the circuit, of course, folks, and here we are. And the drivers now making their way out onto the track. And of course, I have been advised that it is going to be Nicholas Matteo in the Williams. There is an issue, Zerner and Matteo on similar numbers. So it means that's not Sven Zerner you're looking at there. That is, in fact, Nicholas Matteo. Drivers issued numbers to the league. Obviously, unique IDs that we could put through the system. Obviously, I know Sven Zerner had a couple of issues with his system earlier on today, and obviously it's defaulted his number back to the one that he hadn't set. So that is why he's showing up incorrectly. So we do apologise for that, folks. But we'll do our best to keep you updated with what goes on nonetheless. But very exciting though, Jack, Q2, where the tyres will be decided for the start of the race of the top 10. And certainly, as you say, the softs will be on show. That's for sure.
Yeah, of course. So we're about to begin the first runs. Nobody going out on inters, of course, yet. It could get to that stage. But we're about to begin the first runs in Q2. First man is going to set the early pace. Nicholas Matteo coming across the line right now. And at the front of the field, actually, no, it's Jarno Watmir who's the first man out on track to set the early pace. So let's see what this man is able to do. Is he going to go flat out straight away? I'm sure he is. Purple sector 1, but that's taken away, interesting, by Flores Veyers by a small margin. Nicholas Matteo, though, takes that away for a moment. And all these purple sectors coming in right now. But currently, the fastest man in sector number 1 is actually Flores Veyers at the moment in the Haas. So let's see. This is going to be very, very close indeed. And, of course, these tyres so crucial. Everyone out on softs, as far as I can see. Anyone outside the top 10 will get free choice of tyres in the race. But anyway, everyone is out on softs to give it a go, because it seems if you're not on the softs, there's absolutely no way you're going to make it into Q3. So here comes Jarno Watmir through the last corner, flings it into the last corner. Here we go, across the line for Jarno Watmir, and it is a 102.4. Not as quick as in Q2, but different track conditions, of course, right now. Nicholas Matteo was fastest in sector number 1 for a moment. He comes across the line, and he seems to invalidate. No, he hasn't. Navarre Caraton 102.370. So the lap time is flying in at the moment. Dylan Warren 102.4. The only man in the 102.3s at the moment is Alvaro Caraton. Couple of invalidations for guys across the board right there. Flores Veyers diving into the pit lane. But initially, Alvaro Caraton, I told you he was the man to watch straight out of the bag. He is the fastest.
He is indeed. Alvaro Caraton, he loves this circuit, doesn't he? I got to say.
Well, never mind.
Well, we did say that. We've just jinxed him. Barry Burman on top spot there with a 102.284. Under a tenth quicker than Caraton. But it just goes to show you, folks, track evolution. It starts to get quicker. And indeed, already in the early stages of qualifying. But is that raindrops I can see, Jack?
Yes, it is. It is raining in Austria. So now these runs are ever more crucial. Anyone who didn't just set a lap may be about to go straight out of Q2. So this could be the lap times that are going to get to these. It could be your top 10 right here, because if it gets wet enough quickly enough, it is not going to be enough to go out on intermediates and, of course, go faster than that. So this could be your top 10 straight away. And we've only just had a couple of minutes of qualifying.
Well, this pretty much sums it up. We'll take a look at the weather report. Air temperature currently 20 degrees and 68 degrees Fahrenheit. Track temperature currently at 28. So we're currently probably maybe a little bit cool at the moment. 82 degrees Fahrenheit. It's only going to get cooler as well, folks. The humidity, not too much, 13%. Wind speed, though, at 3.1 kilometers an hour. But I've got to say, it does throw a few spanners in the works to have wet weather. And like you say, Jack, the fact that Barry Burman went out early and so did Caraton, we cannot see those times quicken up due to the fact that the wet weather is the way it is. Naturally, all the drivers now bailing and looking to come in immediately. So you could say that the likes of Ruben Vallejo, Kauppinen, Lecce, and of course Matteo and Viers, they're in trouble, Jack.
They're out because it's too wet out there. It is soaking wet. Vallejo cannot get grip on the dry tires. So I'm afraid, guys, that's it for Q2. Those are your top 10. Nobody is going to improve. So some big scalps there. Vallejo out. Atta Kauppinen is out. Domi is out. Matteo out. And Flores Veers out in Q2. There is going to be no improvements in this session.
Oh, absolutely sensational. I gotta say, we have seen some surprise things happen in the world of F1 and certainly F1 esports for that matter. But we've come here today at PSGL PC Championship. The rain has come down a little bit late into Q2 and it's allowed only the top 10 to nestle out their hot laps and has therefore allowed them to secure safely themselves into Q3. Sensational. But these things happen in motorsports, certainly in F1 esports, that's for sure. And I can't imagine it being too easy out there for the drivers, though I'd imagine they can get an opportunity here to practice at least on the circuit, get the inters on. A good chance for them to get used to the circuit there, Jack.
Yeah, Nicholas Matteo straight out on the intermediates there in that Williams. So taking the opportunity when they can to get some wet weather running because, of course, this weather will probably carry forward into Q3, which would make it a very interesting Q3 at the very death. So Matteo has the track to himself on those intermediate tyres for now, so he's going to get a feel for the conditions. But that changed so quickly. The rain came down, and the circuit was completely drenched within a matter of seconds.
Yeah, absolutely incredible, and definitely an interesting development to our Q2 schedule. None of us expected this really. And the way things are right now, we're now watching what looks to be Nicholas Matteo out on track and very shortly making his way around the next left-hander. Of course, not Zerner, remember, like I stated earlier on, that is Nicholas Matteo. And he's just about to make his way around the next right-hander. And indeed, very shortly around the Red Bull Mobile curve. And Sven Noller has in fact left the session, so we're hoping we can jump straight back in ASAP. Albeit for now he's okay because I know he's going to be heading straight to the race later on. But as you can see, Jack, lots of cars still venturing their way out onto the circuit. It's obviously a good time for them, like I say, to get used to the circuit. You never know. It might only be a sudden bit of rain. It might turn dry again. Who knows?
Yeah, it certainly could, but it's really coming down at the moment, so no signs of that any time soon. Just a quick note as well, I hope that's just a disconnect for Sven Noller, because the drivers, of course, are not allowed to leave the lobby because it does cause instability. So if they can at all possible get back in, that would be fantastic, of course. But Sven Noller was out in Q1 anyway. So the drivers who, of course, knocked out in Q1 have got to watch the session now till the end. But Matteo, we're going to be interested to see what this time is going to be. So we'll be able to see the difference between the conditions at the moment for Nicholas Matteo. Of course, he's already out in Q1, or at Q2, because no improvements for them. Of course, now we're not going to quite see that lap because he's actually invalidated it on that particular curb that we just saw there. But either way, we're going to get kind of an idea here as he comes round at the last corner, and it's going to be quite a difference in lap time as they come across here. Might be able to see it due to the invalidation. So he comes across the line, and it's a 1:14.9. There's your difference in lap time. It's amazing.
Yeah, incredible, and a whole matter of 12 seconds the difference, and that is how weather can really change a race. It can almost turn it on its head, folks. As expected, of course, the different compounds have an effect, but certainly how slick the track is with the water, and obviously the cars that can so easily aquaplane off something like this. You can find yourself in the rough, certainly on the gravel traps, or heading around onto the concrete. It's not ideal at all, and there's such fine margins for error, and you can just see there Matteo just running out wide to allow the racing point through, of course. And that is, of course, Dylan Warren making his way around the next left. And, of course, a very exciting day for Dylan Warren. He did not expect to reach Q2, but he looks on fine form to reach Q3, Jack.
Yeah, he's basically confirmed. Because nobody is going to improve on these intermediates unless it dries up very, very fast at the end. But yeah, really good effort by Dylan in the racing point, 102.49. He is going to secure, and as well a good effort. A quick mention, Tom 97, 102.67. He's going to make it into Q3 too.
Absolutely amazing to see. The top 10 are looking good right now, I have to say. They're definitely in the fight for Q3, and obviously what we're seeing now is just the drivers are just simply getting attuned to the track, and it's amazing to see the top 10, Jack, separated by 0.5 of a second from P1 to P10. So again, fine margins, and certainly Caraton could be very pleased with his lap, despite being in P2, because he is within that 1/10 of a second gap. So I can imagine him and Barry Burman being very similar on pace, and add Otmir into the equation. The two Alfa Romeos, Ps 1 and 3, and imagine if they could finish like that during the race, a bucket load of points going to the Alfa Romeo garage at the end of today.
Yeah, looking really, really good. But they've got an annoyingly a Williams sandwich between them in the form of Alvaro Caraton. So hopefully they'll be trying to slot themselves a 1-2, which would be ideal. But interesting to see who's going to come out on top in that qualifying battle between Barry and Jarno. Interesting stuff. But Preschneider was looking very, very good in there as well. In the Ferrari, of course, returning to league racing and looking really, really confident in that Ferrari. But top 10, just to run you down, who's going to make it to Q3. Barry Borman, Alvaro Caraton, Jarno Watmir, Philip Preschneider, Dylan Warren, Josh Idawu, Tina Nakarin is going to make it in, Tom 97, Matthias Colligan, and the man who's right on the bubble and is just going to make it in is Lewis Welch, Lucas UK.
Oh, absolutely. It's incredible to see. Obviously, Lewis Welch just getting into P10 there. 0.5 of a second, I say just getting in. Ruben Vallejo, unfortunately, due to the weather conditions, separated from the top spot by 3.7 seconds. Unbelievable. You can just see there, Caraton has actually invalidated his lap there. Obviously, it won't bother him too much. Obviously, we're not looking for positions in the classification, that's for sure. But as they make their way around the Jock and Rink curve, you will notice him just easing his way through. Of course, the Jock and Rink curve is very aggressive, but he's diving into the pit lane. Obviously, like I said, no need to set any laps now. He's in the safe zone, and will surely be delighted with that. You can see his team there about to accept his car into the garage. There's Philip Preschneider, of course, signed to the Ferrari esports team for the Pro Series last season. I'm sure he will make an appearance again. And obviously, I'm sure you've all heard the breaking news that Brendan Lee has now officially signed with the Ferrari team. So a huge bit of news in the world of esports, that, Jack. Certainly, Brendan Lee making the move from Mercedes to Ferrari. You can imagine if that sort of a move was made in the real world of F1, that would probably break the news headlines, in a sense.
Yeah, it certainly would. And yeah, it's unfortunate. Well, the timing of the announcement came right, of course, at the start of the season of PSGL. We were actually supposed to be having Brendan on the grid, but the timing of that and how much stuff he's got to do now, I don't think we can blame him for not getting involved in PSGL just yet. Hopefully we can have him in at least 1 or 2 races. Just having him for 1 or 2 races would be fantastic. But yeah, fantastic signing. Of course, teaming up with David Tanitsa, so there's 3 championships between them. But of course, we've got Jarno Watmir, the current champion, on the grid, and possibly a contender for the future, of course, in the form of Barry Burman. He's one definitely to watch in next year's F1 esports. But we're coming to the end of Q2 at this point, 2 minutes to go, and not quite the most intense qualify due to the conditions. But hopefully Q3 can bring us a little bit more climactic action.
Well, just look at this grid, though, at least the top 10 that we've got going into Q3. Boromand, Caraton, Otmir, Preschneider, Warren, Idawu, Nakarunen, and of course we've got, looking further down, Colligan as well. All of them are very capable drivers. Lewis Welch. There's so many of them that can make a huge difference on this classification. It's literally going to be a point-to-point shootout in Q3. And that's what we're excited to see. Look, Tom Martinez as well. Let's just talk about Tom Martinez in P8, because, of course, a content creator by trade, but he is absolutely bossing it right now. 0.3 of a second, 4/10, just under 0.4 of a second off Barry Borman's time, which is absolutely incredible, to say the least.
Yeah, absolutely. And only 0.2 off Jarno Watmir. He'll take that any day, Tom Martinez. That's a great effort from Tom. Great to have him on the grid, as always. So let's see how he gets on in Q3. I think he'll just be happy that he made it into that Q3. Because that's a great effort from Tom Martinez. And yeah, it's made the Q3 shootout very interesting, because you haven't got guys like Ruben Vallejo, Nicholas Matteo, or Floris Veers, or Atte Kauppinen. So like, those are big names that have gone out in Q2 just having incorrect timing, or the rain coming at the wrong time for them. The rain is beginning to ease off now. You can see it. So it could be an interesting qualifying, because if the weather carries over, then it could be a wet to dry at the very end, which is always the most interesting one.
It is, and that is what enforces, obviously, the pit stops, the sudden pit stops that we don't expect, because obviously the rain can come at any time. There is no fixed schedule when it comes to weather, folks, as we all know. Certainly here, where I'm commentating from in South Wales, rain comes in an abundance over here. We've had it over the last few days with Storm Christoph, but we are here now in Austria. Obviously, the wet weather is with us for now. Heading into Q3, who knows? We could expect to see maybe some more sunshine, maybe a break into wet weather conditions, maybe something that makes some things slightly more trickier, maybe something more overcast. Anything that makes the track cooler can certainly throw a spanner in the works. This is why drivers need to have at least a very good keyline strategy, but also leave room for flexibility, and that is really important. And certainly that is what the likes of Jarno Watmir, the current world champion, would have been trained on, the likes of Alvaro Caraton as well, and the many others, of course, that are amongst this very, very accomplished grid that we have here today. They need to be prepared for all eventualities, and that is what will determine a race winner here today.
Yeah, of course, just waiting for three drivers to finish laps. Jarno just getting used to the conditions here in this race, or in this qualifying session, as we carry over into Q3, just getting used to the intermediate tyres now. As well as Lucas UK doing a bit of running Flora Spheres as well. So Jarno just getting that car across the line, and 110.5 on the set of intermediate tyres. That's not bad at all, is it? Flora Spheres across the line as well, 111.78. He was trying to get ahead of Nicholas Matteo, because both of those guys set their laps on intermediate but wasn't able to do it. So it's 15th place for Flora Spheres, and we're now going to be saying goodbye to those 5 drivers at the very end of this Q2 session. So Q3 about to come up, and the top 10 shootout begins for this one, and Barry Burman 2 from 2, fastest in both sessions.
Yes, he's P1 Jack, a 102.284. Stupendous lap there from Alfa Romeo Racing Barry Burman. Incredible scenes. Alvaro Caraton P2, Jarno Watmir, Barry's teammate as well, world champion P3, Philip Presneda P4, Dylan Warren P5, Josh Idowu P6, Tino Nakarunen P7, Tom Martinez, Tom 97 in P8, Matthias Colligon P9, Lucas UK, Lewis Welch getting into P10 as well. Unfortunately, we've lost Ruben Vallejo, Ate Kaupanen, Dome Leveche, and of course Nicholas Matteo and Flora Spheres. But Jack, an incredible view again on potential mix-ups in the classification just due to the weather. But what can we expect now heading into Q3?
Well, expect some feistiness. This is where the cat comes out of the bag, so to speak. It is dark, but it is dry. Now, could it be, again, a repeat of Q2, where it's dry at the start and goes to wet? I'm sure the drivers will want to get out on track immediately. If that is the case, Alvaro Caraton looks like he's going to be the first man to get out on circuit here, leaves the garage with the Alfa Romeo garage getting ready as well. So Alvaro Caraton is the first man out onto the circuit in this Q3 session. Everyone on softs, of course, so they will be starting on the soft tires, of course, anyway, because the set that they used in Q2 will be the one they start the race on, so they want to use that as little as possible. And now they get to use some fresh set of softs to go for pole.
They certainly do, Jack. They're going to have lots of fresh tyres to look at. And this is when they're going to be chundering out certainly the fastest laps. We're going to head over to the circuit now. Here we are. And just about to watch these guys head out on circuit. There, of course, is Alvaro Caraton. Out on track now, making his way around Schlossgold. In behind as well, you've got Barry Burman in the mix. And certainly the Alfa Romeo driver is going to want to whittle down a very quick lap on the board to get things underway. Now, Jack, what we have seen in the past, certainly something that's a recurring figure in league racing as well as esports, you tend to find the guys tend to bring out two fast laps in this session. They'll start with a lap just to gain or just put something on the board, and then they've got a marker. So when they head into the next lap, say around 5 minutes time, that is when we start to see the fireworks kick off.
Yeah, of course, because they've saved, hopefully, that extra set of tyres, so they'll have 2 fresh sets to go for pole here in Q3 as Barry Burman begins his lap around the Austrian Grand Prix circuit. And I'm now going to keep an eye on those mini sectors. Of course, there's a couple of drivers on their fast laps as they come through. Barry Burman 15.6 in the first sector. And let's see if anybody else is going to try to best that. 15.6 for Dylan Warren, 15.7 for Colligan. But Barry Burman is at the head of the field by just a few hundredths. Good. That was a great first sector from Dylan Warren, I must say. Only 2 hundredths off the pace of Barry Burman. Here we go then through sector number 2, keeping an eye on those split times as he comes through. Barry Burman flings it through the left. Colligan invalidates as he comes through that sector. Now across 28.0 for the second sector for Barry Burman. Dylan Warren 28.1. Dylan Warren is not far off the hit, but he has unfortunately invalidated that lap. So the only valid lap at the moment is Barry Burman as he comes around the last corner. What's it going to be as he comes across the line? It is going to be an invalidation at the last corner for Barry Burman at the very death. It's once again that last corner.
It is. That last corner catches them out every single time. The Red Bull Mobile curve, not ideal. They're not taking it very well at all. Not enjoying it, that's for sure. But Barry Burman unable to field together a hot lap to get things underway for himself. But we have got plenty of other drivers out on track right now. Alvaro Caraton out on an out lap. We've got Matthias Colligan looking to go out as well. Tino Nakarunen currently on the board looking to post his first lap as well. But he's choosing to box for now. Looking further down, Jarno Watmere is out and about as well, I think. Yes, he is making his way around Remus on a hot lap. Let's join the Dutchman for hopefully a bit of glory here, making his way up towards Remus as we speak. He'll have the right-hander to take, breaking in between the 100 and the 50, just settles the car in nice and easy, and I've got to say he took that one exceptionally well. Purple in sector 1 for now, bombing down now towards Slosh Gold, and as he does so, breaks certainly the 300 mile per hour mark, heading into Slosh Gold now, breaking up, quick shift up to 4th, heading round 5th, 6th, up to 7th, now making his way around the next left-hander, this of course being the Roche Ben. Very soon he will be making his way around the Verth curve. Nice and easy through on the soft tyres. This is the time to lay down a hammer. Does Jarno Watmere as he comes down towards the next right-hander. This being the Jock and Rink curve. Nice and smooth. Just takes a lot of the curb. He won't get this one wrong as he comes down the Red Bull Mobile curve now. Now coming up across the line, the Flying Dutchman with a 102.265. Nice and easy, he says. Nice and quick. And that is the time that is going to lead us in through the rest of Q3. A very, very solid lap indeed, Jack.
I'm just having a look here. There's a man that's gone a little bit faster, and that's Alvaro Caraton and Josh Idawu, who's the man to watch here. He's just gone faster than Jarno Watmere in both sectors. Here comes Josh Idawu through the last corner, flings it through. Is it going to be enough for the Welshman as he comes across the line here to set the time? It's invalidated at the last corner for Josh Idawu again for him. But Alvaro Caraton is the man to look at right now. He's gone faster in sector number 1. What's it going to be in that second sector? 27.996. Not far off. It's green, but not as fast as Jarno Watmere, but it could be close, George.
Yeah, it's going to be exceptionally close, Jack, and it's a pleasure to watch indeed. And certainly it just goes to show the fact that they're invalidating certainly these laps is just simply because they are pushing for the best time possible, and you've got to give every single one of them credit for that. They have been absolutely sensational. Jarno Watmere, Caraton though, just literally inches away from nailing down a fast lap on Jarno Watmere within what must be 7 millionths of a second, something stupid like that. Incredible, Jack.
0.006 between the both of them, and an interesting one, Dylan Warren looking very good. That's a man who's just got, I think, the fastest time in sector 1, not quite on the pace in sector 2, but Dylan Warren not on a bad one here in the Racing Point. If he can keep it together in the last few corners here, he's the fastest in sector number 1 by just a few thousandths. Here he comes to the last corner, Dylan Warren looking really good. He managed to keep that together. Here he comes to the line, and it is going to be third place, 102.5, so lost a bit of time in that second sector, but not a bad effort from Dylan Warren there. He slots into provisional P3.
No, absolutely sensational. That from Dylan Warren, a man who did not feel he had the confidence to get through into Q2. He's just turned up the heat, and Louis Welch. What is this from Louis Welch? A 0.001 difference away from Jarno Watmere. Sensational. Drags him up into P2. Absolutely amazing scenes. And the Black Arrow has whittled itself on the front row, at least for now. And here we are, Matthias Colligan looking to join the party. He's in sector 1 and gone green, making his way round Remus now, down towards Slosh Gold. What can the McLaren do here, Jack? Sensational laps being posted, but look at Ps 1 and 3. Even Nakarunen in P4 within a tenth of a second.
Oh, there's 6,000s between the top 3. That's insane how close this is. Jarno Watmere at the top. Lucas UK, that's phenomenal from Lucas in P2. Here comes Matthias Colligan in sector number 2. He went fastest in sector 1 of anybody. Put 16.63 in the first sector, 28.0. But he's invalidated again, George, in that second sector. And he's just he's going to have to go again straight into the pit lane, and it just seems the invalidations just do not work out for Matthias Colligan today.
No, but there is another man out on track, and he goes by the name of Barry Burrowman. He certainly will be looking to try and at least hammer down a possible blow on his teammate Jarno Watmir, who's currently on top spot. The Dutchman knows all about this man. We've seen them battling together before, and do not write any of them off. This is absolutely incredible scenes as Dylan Warren, I'm not sure whether that was him, he's gone closer again. He's within half a tenth, Jack. Absolutely incredible from Dylan Warren. It's getting so close at the top end. Track evolution, folks, like I said before, it's starting to creep in now. Barry Burrowman invalidates, once again unable to nail down a time. And looking throughout, you've got to give credit to Dylan Warren. The youngster has come, and he's within the half a tenth gap. Sensational.
That is incredible from Dylan Warren. This is a fantastic opening for the PSGL season. We haven't even gotten the race yet, folks. We've got half a tenth separating your top five, basically top four, half a tenth between the top four, and just under a tenth between the top five. It is insanely close. Guys, not set of laps yet. Preshnader, Idu, Borman and Colligan all with invalidations, but now the final runs in qualifying are about to come up in a few seconds' time, both on a new set of tyres, and go for it.
Oh, absolutely. And this is where things start to get really interesting. This is when the soft tyres will be strapped on again. They will be looking to go out and post even faster times than what they've set. This is when the crunch time happens, the straight shootout, folks. They're like cowboys out there. They're going to be lining themselves up. They're challenging each other to a duel here in Austria. It's going to be absolutely scintillating. I can't wait to call it. The Ferrari leaves the garage first. Now, I'm not sure if that's Prejnader. There's an Alpha. Is that Burrowman? Let's have a little look, because certainly, as we can now see, it is in fact Otmir. It's Otmir and Tom Martinez. So Tom97, as we've discussed, a very, very good YouTuber, and goes by the name of Tom Martinez, of course, making his way up towards Remus. Otmir letting him go, and it's going to be interesting to see the two Ferrari engine constructors out on track, Jack, and the rest of them are following in tandem. So watch out for this one.
Yeah, they all, of course, now it's not allowed to give a teammate slipstream, but of course these guys are smart. They want to try and get a distant tow at if they possibly can here. So it is interesting to see. Otmir is, of course, trying to break away. He's got some very nice clear track in front of him, and now the runs begin. So the nerves start to build, and you may be able to get 2 runs out of this one. So it's not going to be all said and done in the first lap, but it certainly will in the second lap as we head now. Jarno Watmir is going to be the first man to go for it and settle in for an insane climax to qualifying.
Absolutely. Well, in fact, I'm looking on my screen now. Tom Martinez, the first to cross the line and get another outlap in the billing as he makes his way around the next right-hander. And that, of course, being the Niki Lauda curve. Here comes Martinez. Obviously looking to throw down here amongst the best of them. Every chance that this man can pull off a surprise package or two as he comes up towards that Remus bend now. Indeed, looking very strong as he does so. Eases his car around the next right-hander. He's gone green in Sector 1, Jack. The track is doing him certainly the world of good right now. Heads down towards Slosh Gold. And it's really important to get this one right because, of course, it's so easy to push the curb. A bit of a lock up there from Tom Martinez. Not ideal as he comes up now towards the next left-hander. Of course, this being Roche Curve. And as he does so, very easy and smoothly does it as he makes his way around Verth Curve. And the prancing horse is looking to, again, attack the top end if they can. But he's invalidated the lap time, Jack. And this means now Otmir is going to be next on the list. He's gone green in the first 2 sectors. Definite improvements in line for Jarno Otmir as he comes around the Jochenring curve, heading around the Red Bull Mobile curve. The Flying Dutchman looking to nail a hammer blow yet again. As he does so, he nails another 10th off his lap time at 102.088. Sensational, Jack.
But Burman's got him, 101.943. He went purple in Sector 1 and 2. Barry Burman gets one over on Jarno Watmir. Sensational lap from Barry Burman. Brought it out with a 101.943. Unreal from Barry Burman. He has got the job done. A few more runs yet to come, but what a lap.
Absolutely incredible from Barry Burman, and incredible certainly to the teams that are looking for drivers for the new esports season. Barry Burman showing that he's no slouch at 101.943, the only man in the 101s, and he's got to be absolutely delighted with that. I remember Alvaro Caraton doing a similar thing in the F1 Esports Pro Series, but Barry Burman has done it here today at PSGL, and that is Q3 up, folks. Extra time we are into, and Barry Burman is going to be on pole, at least for the time being, Jack. Sensational scenes.
That is an absolutely phenomenal lap. I think Tom Martinez might be about to improve. He wasn't quite able. He did improve, but didn't improve his position. 102.387. Colligan 102.4. Philip Preschnader, what's he going to do? He was fast in Q1. Here he comes to the line. Preschnader comes to the line and goes fourth. 102.2. Tino Nakarinen, and he goes to P5. It's not enough. Lucas UK P7. And Josh Idawu goes to P4. 102.189. But Burman, he's got one over on the F1 Esports Champion, 101.943, Alfa Romeo 1-2 in the bag.
Incredible stuff, indeed. You just see Jarno Watmier's car being weighed into the garage, but Jack, they did not disappoint. Q3, absolutely outstanding. Alfa Romeo doing what they said they would. They are on the top end, albeit Jarno probably would have wanted it the other way around. Barry Burman is your P1 sitter. He's on pole for the Austrian Grand Prix. Incredible, folks.
And we haven't had the race yet, George. It's just qualifying. There you go, confirmation of your qualifying here in the first round of the PSGL PC season. Barry Burman on pole by over a tenth of a second over Jarno Watmier. Alvaro Caraton in P3 and Josh Idawu, great effort in P4. Philip Preschnader is P5. Tino Nakarinen, P6. Dylan Warren, great effort in P7. Lewis Welch in P8, Tom Martinez is P9, and Matthias Colligan down in P10. Didn't quite get a representative lap in, but this is going to be a mental Grand Prix. Two of the fastest guys, well, it's actually basically 20 of the fastest guys about to go at it in Austria in the first round, and it's Burman versus Otmir. I mean, this is going to be brilliant.
Incredible, Jack. And I got to say, guys, we have been left certainly with a very tantalising race. And from the off, it's going to be absolutely tremendous. I cannot wait for it. I want to hear your comments in the chat as well, folks, as to who you think. We got a wet race on our hands, Jack.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Straight out of the bag. A curveball has been thrown straight away. And now they're going to have to adapt to intermediate. So obviously they knew about this, and that's why they were trying to do as much running as possible in Q2 on those intermediate tyres. So now, who's got the advantage in the wet is the question.
Oh, incredible scenes. I mean, the rain is continuing to cascade down on this Austrian circuit. The Red Bull Ring is soaked, folks. Absolutely soaked. And it's going to make a very interesting start. Do not be surprised if we see some really interesting things happening in lap one. Certainly, we've got a long race ahead of us. It's going to be very interesting indeed. Who is going to be the wet weather master? Indeed, Jarno Watmier in the past has proven to be a very tasty wet racing driver on his day, but not to mention the other esports drivers that are on this grid that are absolutely sensational in controlling their cars in adverse conditions. I want to hear your comments, folks. Please leave them in the chat box below. I want to hear who you think is going to win the Austrian Grand Prix, and we will, of course, go through them as we go through the formation lap. But, Jack, I've got to say, any predictions from yourself? Because surely this weather spike has made it unpredictable.
Yeah, it really has. You cannot call a winner in this one in these conditions. Of course, Jarno was looking pretty handy in those intermediate conditions, but now Burman's got to switch his head back to wet weather all of a sudden. It is, of course, intermediates all through the grid. And it is fantastic as well to say Sven Zerner has made the grid, even though he had his issues. He's going to be starting P20, and he would have been right in the mix in qualifying. We know how fast that man is in that AlphaTauri, so watch out for him from the back of the grid. But who on earth is going to take this one? We cannot call this. We're going to assume that there's going to be a transition to the dry conditions at some point, but it's going to be a battle of strategy and who has got their eye in for these wet conditions. Who did the most running in Q2? Let's wait and find out. Jarno did plenty of it, but now I could not call a winner out of this one. It's going to be a great battle.
No, it's going to be absolutely sensational, folks. We're just waiting for, obviously, our screens to become active, and we'll be ready to bring you back with the action, of course. And here we are back on track indeed. You can see they're making their way around on the formation lap, and Barry Burman on top spot. I got to say, we did right that it would be an Alfa Romeo coup today, and certainly the championship looked like it was probably going to go their way given the drivers, but who can say anything? We've got so many talented drivers out on track here at PSGL PC, and you literally cannot call it between the lot of them, but you can see that the Alfa Romeo cars have instantly drawn themselves away from the rest of the field, and they're currently on their own, about to line up for the start of this race. But Jack, what are the key talking points in a race at Austria? Because it's such a short circuit, will it favour a certain driver in comparison to another?
It favours a patient driver, because it is going to be a case of just trying to save as much of your tires as possible, as much of your ERS as possible. So the patient driver will always win in Austria. They will make their move when it is available, but not too early so as to give the other driver the slipstream. So who's going to be the smartest one today? Who's going to be the patient one? We're going to wait and find out. But a new era dawns in PSGL tonight.
It does. I'd like to thank every single one of you who've joined us here tonight. All the viewers. Here we go. First light, second light, third light, fourth light, the fifth light. And it's pedal to the metal. Go, 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 go. Barry Burman with a phenomenal start there in behind Jarno Watmere tries to shut the door. We have a McLaren then cutting through on the inside. The big Josh Inoue in behind the Williams trying to tank back. But indeed, it's still going to be Barry Burman on top spot. In behind Jarno Watmere tries to follow him behind, heading up towards Remus. All very clean so far, Jack. What a start.
Yeah, awesome start from Barry Burman. Got a car length on Jarno Watmere straight away as they file through, nearly three abreast in the background. Dylan Warren making a spot up on Tino Nakarinen as they fight for position through there. Tom 97 holds on to P8. Look, they're nearly 4 wide down the straight here. After Kaupinen up to P10. Vallejo's in there. Colagon's in the midst there. 4 abreast down the hill between all these guys. Matteo gets them all up the inside. Kaupinen hangs on, but it's absolute chaos. They've managed to come through mostly clean, but they're really scrapping out down the back here.
Yeah, Kaupinen and Nicholas Matteo giving each other a hard time around the next left-hander, but the Red Bull gets it done there. Kaupinen there, up to P10. A time penalty issued already for Manius Colagon's 3 seconds added to his time. Not ideal whatsoever for that man. So indeed, fireworks already starting to become 4 wide down towards Sloshka. Jack, incredible scenes.
Yeah, they're really not taking it easy, are they? Straight out of the box. Its track position is so crucial around this circuit because you're going to be stuck in a train for so long
I think we've lost
in the early part of this race. So it is going to be a case of being patient, but Burman already half a second clear of Watmere. Alvaro Carton hanging in there nicely. Josh Ida with P4 as they file through, and Dylan Warren nicely in there in the mid-pack as they come through the first sector for the second time. All nice and clean for the top guys, but it was so crucial that Burman got away from the line there, because you know if Watmere finds a gap, it's going to go for it.
Absolutely. Barry Burman still on top. Sorry, I alluded to earlier that maybe a car lost it there, but it looked like the HUDs were just trying to figure themselves out. We got blue flags already. Do not pay any attention to that, folks. Looks like even on the new HUDs we can't avoid some of the glitches that do occur on this game. But nevertheless, we're still here and running. Barry Burman on top spot, still leading the way. Jarno Watmere in P2. Caraton in P3. And in behind Josh Idawu as well, making up the top 4. But as you can see, the gaps are still relatively slim as things stand. You can see there Alvaro Caraton in P3 just marking that of indeed Jarno Watmere. The F1 Esports World Champion is not given any special treatment. Fastest lap on the board once again for Barry Burman in wet conditions, a 1:13.142. Reasonably competitive, but he's got to be. He's got plenty of juggernauts in behind him.
Certainly has. He's got some massive pressure on him now. He's got Otmir, Caraton, Idlemove, Preshnader, all these guys in behind him and wanting to take the win in this race. 36 laps of this circuit to come, and we're waiting to see if the conditions are going to change, because it is going to be a very interesting race. If it does become a dry race later on, we're going to wait and see what happens. But right now, they're just settling in. Biggest mover on that first lap, Sven Zerner, last up to 14th already in the AlphaTauri, making good moves in that AlphaTauri already on the back of Leveche and Ruben Vallejo. So great start for Sven Zerner. Kept it clean, kept the nose out of it and managed to make up some good spots.
Yeah, Tino Nakarunen as well running on board with. He's very close in behind that of Dylan Warren. And Tino Nakarunen has actually dropped down a place. He started in P6, sorry. He's down to P7 and chasing that of Dylan Warren in the Racing Point. Dylan Warren has Philip Prejnader ahead of him. Just look at the list of cars in front. Burman and Otmir. And already Jarno Otmir 1.2 seconds behind. Barry Burman is flying and netting fastest lap after fastest lap. Are we noticing maybe a change in the winds, Jack? Is the track maybe going to get dry later into the race?
I think what Burman's doing is he knows he needs to break DRS. Even though the DRS isn't enabled, he knows he needs to have that gap in case it does flick on later on in the race. He's trying to build as big a gap as he possibly can, and he's already stretching away from Jarno Otmir at 1.1 seconds over the champion at the moment. Caraton within that the provisional DRS range of Jarno Otmir, and Caraton has broken away from Josh Idowu as well, but this is a crucial phase. Burman's got to try and build as big a gap as he possibly can because he's got one of the best drivers, if not the best driver on the game, on his tail. He
certainly has, and Otmir has got Caraton on his tail. We know how good Alvaro Caraton is around Austria. Yet again, we allude back to F1 Esports last season, and here comes the Spaniard, currently 0.8 of a second behind Jarno Otmir, but he's still in the mix. In behind him, the Welshman Josh Idowu. The intervals are starting to stretch out a little more now. Barry Burman really starting to pile on the agony, and Otmir knows exactly what he's doing because that delta is starting to slowly maybe drip down. But as you can see from the tyres that we've got here, everyone on inters, no advantages in these wet weather conditions, Jack.
No, absolutely not. Now, the question is, later on in the race, are we thinking that Burman's taking too much out of the tyres too early on? Similar ERS levels between them, so it's not like Burman is using up all his ERS to break away. He's certainly not. And Otmir is just hanging in there. Is he saving tyres towards this early phase of the race? Is Burman maybe taking too much out of them too early on? We'll have to wait and see what's going to happen there. But pressure being put on further down. Flores Veyers making a move on Calvin Klein, gets cleanly past into P15 there, and now Julian Naumann's going to try and get past this Mercedes on the inside line at the bottom of the hill, sticks it up the inside, going to get it stopped. It's going to be very close, small amount of contact made. Naumann now on the power as he comes out of the right-hander, now side by side, but Calvin Klein gets a little bit of a shimmy on there, but Calvin Klein hands on to the position there.
Yeah, incredible. The bit of defending there from Calvin Klein. And of course, he's really struggling to try and keep hold of that position. Julian Naumann really giving him a headache or two in the AlphaTauri. Of course, the Italian team celebrating Pierre Gasly's win at Monza last season. An incredible victory that was as well. And here are the current tyre conditions. Obviously, the Inters can take a little bit more stick than your regular compounds. Certainly here in the wet weather, you would imagine they would go quite a fair distance. So do not be concerned about their tyre conditions for now. Long way to go in this Grand Prix, folks, but the weather is continuing to come down. Just looking up through, of course, we've got the interval times being stretched through as Jarno Otmir is trying to close the gap on Barry Burman, and he has done, I believe he has actually put a couple of holes in it, albeit saying that. It's starting to stretch out again now. Burman absolutely flying here, Jack, up to 2 seconds.
Yeah, he really is putting in a really good stint at the start right here, trying to get as much of a gap as he possibly can to his teammate here. 1.6 seconds almost as he comes round the middle sector. Caraton's hanging on there in that second gap as they come through the middle sector. Ido is 1.1. He's got Prejnader and Dylan Warren behind him, as well as Nakarin and Tom Martinez, Lewis Welch and Atte Kauppinen as they file through the middle sector for the 6th time tonight. And Burman, he is really going for it here. I can see the tyre wear already starting to rank up here on this one here as he comes through. He's really using up the tyres to the best of their ability. Unfortunately, I don't have the telemetry for Otmir because he's not got it turned on, so I can't see what his tyres are like at the moment. But Burman is really going for it on these tyres. Yeah, he's really smoking it, and you can tell the difference in the delta time is starting to stretch out, and you can now see Ruben Vallejo as well, really trying to hammer home on Nicolas Matteo, and trying to gain at least some sort of a position manoeuvre. Of course, he has dropped a place since the start. Was in P10, now down to P11, rounding Remus now, but you can now see how congested the middle part of this grid is, in fact, because you can see there Matteo in P11. He has got such a train of cars, including Kauppinen, Lewis Welch, Martinez and Nakarunen. There's a whole train of them there at this moment in time. No one feels comfortable making a move, so you can see, judging from the halo, that Vallejo is being a little bit gentle on the throttle. Of course, you need to be around wet weather conditions. You can just see how
well, he's been very careful, not being too heavy on the throttle. Indeed, you just see him gradually pushing it upwards, and as he makes it round this circuit, you just see the car starting to aquaplane slightly on the track. These conditions do not seem to be slowing, Jack.
No, they certainly aren't. The rain's still coming down as heavy as it was earlier on, so the drivers are still going to have to deal with this for a little while longer, if not for the entire race. We don't know what the conditions are going to be like in a few laps' time, of course, as we file through here. Again, Burman nearly 1.6 to the good here over Jarno Opmeer. Is that gap stabilising now? Is he beginning to now save the tyres? But the top three have certainly made a gap for themselves over the guys behind. Josh Trotter with 1.2, 1.3 behind Caraton. And then the big train begins back from Idu, Preschner, Warren, Nakarinen, Tom 97, Lucas UK, Atta Kaupanen, Matteo, all the way down basically to P15 is all in a big long train here, all the way down there. And the only man who's unfortunately not currently driving, as far as we can see, is Sven Neuler down in P20, having a terrible start to the season, unfortunately. And look at that, it is drying up. DRS is on.
Yeah, DRS has been enabled, folks. We'll just take a look at the wet weather conditions, and currently there's no real change. I've got to say, quite interesting, according to the current conditions monitor, but maybe we haven't seen those changes just yet. Though the track temperature is at 26 degrees, 79 degrees Fahrenheit. Caraton is in the pit, so that's P3. So we're now seeing Alvaro Caraton make his way into the pit lane. And what this means as well, Barry Burman's jumping into. Opmeer is now your leader. In there as well is Preschner and Ruben Vallejo as well. So plenty in the pit lane now. Now this will be interesting. Obviously this will certainly determine the strategies heading into the end of the race. And already the slicks being applied here. Caraton, are those the mediums I spot there, Jack?
The mediums for Burman, the mediums for Alvaro Caraton, but the hard tyres for Preschner and for Dylan Warren. So they're trying to go a long, long way into this race, possibly to try and even go to the end if they can look after the tyres. But yes, the rain is easing off, certainly now. So Opmeer now trying, he's going to have to push very hard now to try and do an overcut here on Barry Burman. They were very close, and Opmeer certainly pushing on now, trying to build a gap as big as possible here. He's going to have to surely respond to Burman on this lap. He couldn't pit that time because Burman was already in the box.
Yeah, and how crucial can that be? A race can be decided in a matter of moments, and has the moment come for Jarno Opmeer? He's got no choice. He has to box. He needs to get those inters off. The track is starting to dry up, and this will mean that he needs to get the slick compound on to at least challenge the rest of this field. But obviously he's going to lose a lot of time now amongst the field. Idawu coming around the corner as well. He's coming into pit. So is Julian Naumann. So let's see where Barry Burman comes out now, because this is so key, ever so key. And you can see him now round in the final corner at Red Bull Mobile Curve, and he is going to come across the line, and he will retake the lead in this race without a shadow of a doubt, Jack. Burman with the advantage, and how much time can he gain on the Dutchman now?
Oh, Opmeer's lost out to Caraton. Caraton P2, there you go. But Opmeer's gone on the alternate strategy. He's on the hard compound tyre, so the mediums for Caraton and for Burman. Now, Opmeer trying to warm up the tyres, but he's lost track position to Caraton. How crucial could that be?
Yeah, it could be incredibly crucial. The fight is now going to be on. He's only got one choice in the matter, has Opmeer. He needs to bring the fight to Alvaro Caraton, and soon. He knows he needs to dispatch the Williams as soon as possible. He locks up the tyres. They're still not feeling too good out there on this reasonably moist track. It's not superb or not optimal temperature or optimal track conditions right now, as they now round the next left-hander. He's going to have another left to deal with now, this of course being the Verth curve, and just making his way around it, just negotiating his way around this Austrian circuit. Ahead of him, he has of course got Barry Burman. Another time penalty has come through. That is of course for Louis Welch. 3 seconds added to his time. I've got to say, Jack, we haven't seen too many of those today.
No, we haven't, but there's been a big splash here. Oh, Flores Veras goes off into the wall in Sector 3. He had a massive, massive moment. He's out of this race, and that car is sat on the racing line there. That could be, I'm not sure if it will, but that would certainly be a safety car in real life. I don't know if it's going to be in the game, so to speak, but that was a big one for Flores Veras. He's out of the race. Julian Naumann went off in Sector 2 as well, so there's been absolute chaos. There's a huge scrap going on in the midfield here between Sven, Zerner, Vallejo, Matteo. They're nearly 3 abreast down towards turn number 2. Zerner's going to lose out here massively. Oh, onto the cross. Matteo sticks it up the inside. Can he get it stopped? No, he can't. And Vallejo says thank you very much.
He does indeed. He's mastered that one, that's for sure. But they're still battling. We got 4 cars heading down to Slosh Gold, and literally ahead of them, Ruben Vallejo Malaysia. Calvin Klein in the mix as well. As we now look further down, it certainly is going to be the AlphaTauri of Sven Zerner trying to challenge that, indeed, of Nicholas Matteo, who overtakes Kaupen and anti-Kaupen. Sven Zerner at the inside. Oh my word, nearly finding the top end of Matteo. Oh my word, he's off the track. Absolute scenes here, heading around what looked to be the Roche Bend. And indeed, the unfortunate loser was that of none other than Nicholas Matteo. A real unfortunate loser in that exchange. Very, very hard battling between those three, Jack.
I don't know what that was. That was a really, possibly overly aggressive fight in this stage of the race, but certainly now we go back to another fight. It's happening. Here comes Leveche on Tom 97. Tom does not fight that. He's on an alternate strategy here. He's on the hard compound tyre. And Calvin goes into the back of him at the top of the hill. So soft tyres for Calvin, of course, is going to be much faster in this phase of the race. But I don't know what that battle was. I'm sure that's going to be looked at by the stewards after this race. But now, of course, everyone in the midfield starting to stack up a little bit now as we head into this phase of the race. But look at this now. Burman 2.3 over Caraton. And now Caraton, he's got to build a gap because Jarno's going to have the tyres in the latter half of the race. They've got to make them work now.
They do. Caraton currently 2.5 seconds back. He's trying to build it back up towards Barry Burman, but he's also got the Flying Dutchman in behind. Now, Jarno Opmeer has lost a little bit of time as Barry Burman nets the fastest lap of the race so far. We've still got plenty of laps left, folks. 13 laps of 36. Matthias Kologon with another 3-second time penalty. That's not going to help as Leveche actually manages to secure the fastest lap of the race with a 107.122. The track is certainly drying up here, Jack, as we're now witnessing the likes of Barry Burman now trying to whittle his way up through, once again marching ahead past this field. Alvaro Caraton behind at 2.8 seconds, and Barry Burman letting fly here, but Opmeer has got a lot of work to do, albeit just needs to get those hard tyres up to race spec, Jack.
There goes Lewis Welch on Nakarin, and around the outside goes Lewis Welch. Lovely overtake by the Mercedes, and in the background the other Mercedes of Calvin Klein getting the move done on Leveche. But that was a super move from Lucas UK around the outside. He's got a penalty, unfortunately, which is going to hinder, but now he's got Dylan Warren in his sights, and I think Sven Zerner's had an off in sector 2. There's gravel on the tyres and a missing front part of the wing.
Yeah, it sounds like Sven Zerner's having a bit of a torrid time in this race just before the halfway stage. Alvaro Caraton's just gone quickest with a 106.36. Well, actually, no, it's Josh Idawu now that's gone quickest. He's stolen that off Alvaro Caraton. Now Calvin's got it. It's literally, they're coming through at the moment in tandem. Calvin Klein with the 106.241 for the Black Arrows. Absolutely incredible. We're riding on board with him now, and he is in the midst of a train of 6 cars with Julian Naumann currently in part of it here. We're currently with Calvin Klein now, but as we can now see ahead of him is a Racing Point, and that, I believe, is that man, Dylan Warren, as they make their way down towards Slosh Gold. Here he comes now, Calvin Klein, as he makes his way through on the inside as well. We've got a battle behind, and lock up there from Nakarunen, as we can now see Calvin Klein holding up the fort, overtakes him there as well as Dylan Warren. Sensational battling there, heading round Slosh Gold as Calvin Klein steals that P8. Nakarunen down to P9. Dylan Warren lost out there on that P6. Louis Welch, the Black Arrows moving up in tandem, Jack.
Yeah, it wasn't really going to be a fight there. They're on alternate strategies here. There's 3 different tyres here, mediums, hards and softs. Calvin Klein, of course, on the soft tyres, so he's going to have to pit quite shortly on those soft tyres. Tom 97 hanging in on the back of the train as well as they come across the line. Once again, now up the front, you can see now Caraton's got a 3-second gap over Jarno Opmeer, and Josh Idawu is with him, George.
He is, he certainly is. He's absolutely flying, and he's literally on his tailbone right now. Jarno Opmeer in all sorts of disarray right now. The hard tyres just haven't been brought up to speed just yet. He still needs more time, as we can now see Josh Idawu, the Welshman, needs to ensure that he can get past the Dutchman ASAP, because remember, his tyres will go off first as they head round the next right-hander, heading down towards what will be Roche Bend. And indeed, Josh Idawu, the Welshman, looking to draw damage here on Jarno Opmeer as they come round the next left now. Indeed, they're so close together, the Dutchman and the McLaren of Josh Idawu whittling their way through. Philip Prejneda looking to join the party as well as they make their way around Jockenrid curve, and still Jarno Opmeer leads round this party of 3 cars round the final corner. Barry Burman nets the fastest lap yet again with a 105.805. Incredible scenes here. The race is hotting up, Jack.
Yeah, here comes Idaho. Look how close he was in turn 1. Can he get on the power? No, he's going to lose out on the exit here. But now, overtake on, DRS open. Nothing Jarno Opmeer can do about this one. Here comes the Welshman into P3. Now he's got to get his head down and try and build a gap. He gets in front of Opmeer. Now Preschnader needs to get in front because they're on the same strategy, George.
They are, and certainly the Slovakian driver, Filip Preschnader, is going to want to make this count. But he has lost a little bit of delta time heading around Remus Curve. But as they head down towards Sloshgold, Idaho just locking up slightly, so does the Flying Dutchman. Jarno Opmeer certainly needs to try and recover himself, pat himself down, and sort of say, we'll come back fighting, mate. The Dutchman is still in the mix. Do not count him out, folks. He'll be the last thing you do. He's only half a second in behind that of Josh Idaho. Alvaro Caraton currently drawing out to 3 seconds. Barry Burman fighting incredible pace right now, as we can now see Caraton really starting to bring the time in. Looking further down, Dylan Warren trying to let fly at Louis Welch. The gaps to the leader is pretty obvious right now. Caraton currently around 3 seconds back through normal time, albeit it is changing at a phenomenal rate, but it just goes to show how quick these drivers really are, as we now see Preschnader looking to line up Jarno Opmeer heading up towards Remus, Jack.
Yeah, Preschnader's got no ERS to use, though. Opmeer's been saving his, so I'm reckon Opmeer is doing a bit of tyre-saving ERS management at the moment. Filip Preschnader certainly not. He's pushing on to try and get in front of the current F1 Esports champion, but is he going to be able to do that? Opmeer's in a good spot right now because he can hang in on the back of Idaho, save ERS, save the tyres as much as he possibly can, and Preschnader's going to have a really hard time getting past at this moment in time.
Yeah, but he's just easing his way around Sloshgold now, heading around this double left-hander. Of course, that being Roche and the Verth curve. And nice and easy here from the Ferrari driver. He knows he's got longevity on these hard tyres. Just needs to stick behind Jarno Opmeer, make sure he stays close to the Dutchman. Try and recover some of that ERS that he has already lost as they make their way around the Rindt curve, down towards what will be Red Bull Mobile. At top end at the moment, Barry Burman. Alvaro Caraton P2, unable still to tread on the toes of Barry Burman as he makes his way around turn 1, that being the Niki Lauda curve. 3 second time penalty for Caraton. Not good at all for the Spaniard, and that's going to put him at an instant disadvantage. And I can imagine that Idaho and Opmeer and Preschnader are probably all licking their lips, hoping that the Spaniard is now going to be in jeopardy.
Yeah, now for him at the moment, he's got over 3 seconds, but that's not what he needed because he's got such... He only just extended a small bit of turn 1, and that was all it took. Now Idaho is in with a chance of P2, but of course Opmeer is doing what he needs to do, exactly what he needs to do. He's hanging in there in DRS with Josh Idaho, and those mediums eventually will go off and the hards will come into effect. So if it is possible, Preschnader also, I think, should probably just hang in there behind Opmeer, save the ERS and save the tyres and go with an attack later on. Still plenty of time left in this race.
There is plenty of time indeed. We're only just at the halfway point, folks. Domenico Levecce with a 3 second time penalty, and that won't help the Renault driver. Still the performance the same here on these tyres, but you can now see Levecce just trying to close the gap there indeed on Tino Nakarunen. Ahead of Tino, you have got obviously the likes of Calvin Klein and Dylan Warren, who has done exceptionally well here today. He's got Louis Welch leading this contingent around the right-hander, and of course there's a huge gap then to Filip Preschnader, but Louis Welch with a 3 second time penalty heading around the Niki Lauda curve. Not ideal at all. Magnus Collegon is out of the race. He's pulled up. He's out. He has sustained quite a few time penalties, and Magnus Collegon, I can confirm, the McLaren driver out of the race, Jack.
Yeah, unfortunately, he's not had a good day today, has he? He's now just put an end to it, retired in the pits, and now leaves the session. Of course, Sven Zerner's car still going around, but he's not in the session at this moment in time. Neither is Sven Muller, so unfortunate for those guys. So a few DNFs, a few non-starters, but certainly the action's still completely on right here. Just Lucas UK picking up another 3 second time penalty in turn number 1. He's leading the train now with Dylan behind him. He's got Calvin Klein, who's on worn soft tyres right now. Tino Nakarunen on the hard tyres, and of course Levecce, P10, Tom Martinez doing an excellent job hanging in there on the hard tyres. Those hard tyres will eventually start to come into play when we get into the latter half of the race, but again, Josh Idaho cannot shake Jarno Opmeer, and this is exactly what Jarno needs to be doing.
Yeah, absolutely. We're just seeing now Ruben Vallejo trying to make his way around. He's dropped 2 places since the start. Started P11, of course. Now down to P13, chasing Ate Kauppinen. who's in P12 at this moment in time. And there you can see the interval times breaking the gaps. And Philip Prejnader is really starting to try and hammer home. But you can now see Dylan Warren finding some excellent pace here. And is actually starting to track up here on Louis Welch. He's driving an extraordinary race. Is this Dylan Warren? A phenomenal race indeed. He was superb in qualifying to reach into Q3. But the pace he's found out from a man who did not think that he would even step foot in Q2 has made the magic happen for him right now. He is in P7 and now fighting with one of the best pad players in the world of F1 gaming, that being Louis Welch, who's currently in his Mercedes and under severe pressure, Jack.
Yeah, certainly is. Now, completely different strategies, of course. Dylan on the hards, Lucas on the mediums, so there's not a hell of a lot that they can do towards the end of the race. Calvin Klein's starting to suffer now. The softs are starting to go off, and Tino Nakarinen certainly smells blood in that Red Bull.
He does indeed. Just looking at him now, he's looking at Calvin Klein at this moment in time. As we take a little look now, we can have a look at Nakarunen as we speak. He's trying to close the gap here indeed, and I've got to say, you would not write him off for a move here. Certainly he carries a lot of potential, a lot of speed, does Tino Nakarunen. Of course, a former Red Bull Racing driver for the esports team as well, making his way down towards Slosh Gold as he does so down the inside there indeed of Calvin Klein, and smoothly does it, but he tugs back the switcheroo here from Calvin Klein as they come down towards what will be the Roche bend, but Tino Nakarunen, all the experience, the flying Finn comes back, he makes his way up into P8 and chasing Dylan Warren, Jack.
Yeah, great move from Tino. Well lined up, found the space, threw it up the inside. Space given by Calvin Klein as well. He can't fight on those old soft tires. He's boxing now. Calvin Klein into the pit lane for what will be his last stop today. He's going to go on to probably a set of the medium tires to go to the end of this race. But the softs did not work, and fastest lap for Tino Nakarunen on the hard tires. Here come the hard runners. They're going to start getting into it now.
They will, and this will mean, well, this will be great news for Jarno Watmere, because of course he's going to want to try and start netting in some faster pace, because he has got Josh Idawu ahead of him, certainly looking to try and tag him back here on the Welshman. But don't forget, Idawu is on the same compound. But is that an Alvaro Caraton I see just dead in front there? I just thought I saw him just rounding Slosh Gold earlier, and indeed he's only just actually left the curve, heading around indeed Roche Ben. Is Alvaro Caraton losing pace right now, and is Idawu finding some on him, Jack?
Well, certainly Idawu is currently in a bit of a pickle because he's got 25% of ERS, but he's not breaking DRS. Jarno Watmere has got 80% DRS to use, and he's just using that to keep in DRS and continue to save. But he's also got to watch out for that Slovakian behind him. It's Philip Prejnader, who's kind of keeping him honest right now in that Ferrari, on his tail, not letting him have anything his own way. He's been saving ERS too, so Philip Prejnader certainly in the fight here. But Idawu is going to struggle now because now he's struggling with ERS. He doesn't have the benefit of DRS from the guy in front, and this is just helping Jarno and Philip to save ERS even more.
It is indeed, and obviously Jarno is probably going to benefit from the tow, at least for now. He's in the DRS, within DRS of Josh Idawu, of course, making the most of it, and Ate Kauppinen there with a 3-second time penalty to himself as well. Not ideal. Sven Noller back in the pits. He's not having the best of races here today. Certainly has not gone all his way as they round an extra hander of Slosh Gold, and Philip Prejnader as well has joined this affair too. As we now see, this is the tyre compounds currently amongst the drivers. Barry Burman on mediums, Caraton on mediums, Josh Idawu on mediums, Otmir on hard, so is Prejnader, Louis Welch on mediums, as well as Dylan Warren on hards, and Nakarunen as well, Leveche on mediums, Martinez on hards. And as we come back to the action, Jarno Otmir still trying to literally put the pressure on, and he's doing just that, Jack.
Yeah, he certainly is. Unfortunately, again, like I mentioned, I don't have the telemetry for Jarno Watmere's tyres at the moment, so I can't see what level they're on. But Barry Burman currently around the 40 to 50% usage mark on those medium tyres. There's Vallejo with a penalty now, so the tyres are currently they're right around the middle part of the stint right now. He's got to be looking after them shortly now. But it seems Jarno is starting to pick up the pace a little bit now. He's starting to get on the tail and filling the mirrors of Josh Idawu, but he can't afford to go for a kind of. He can't afford to go for a move that's not on, because Philip Prejnader will be there to pick up the pieces, and they're on this identical strategy. So there's nothing. This is not, of course, about tyres at all between Jarno Otmir and Philip Prejnader, because they're both on an identical strategy. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens towards the end of this race, because the mediums will now be starting to go off.
They will be indeed, and there's Alvaro Caraton getting closer indeed to the front end of Idawu, and very shortly I'm sure we'll start to see the battles unfurl as an AlphaTauri. We can just see Caraton is in, and so is Idawu. Idawu in as well on the medium tyres. So Otmir on the hards will now rain through into P2 and is going to let fly now at Barry Burman. So the strategy might have come true for Otmir, and am I seeing droplets of rain again, Jack?
It could be a late twist in this tale, but now Jarno's not got DRS, and Philip Preschnader does now. Preschnader's got to attack now. He knows he's got to get track position over Jarno Otmir. So here he's on his tail now on the exit of turn number 2, across over the DRS, but Jarno's going to use all of his overtake to keep it in front. There's nothing that Preschnader can do, but is Bormann going to be able to take those tyres to the end? I don't think so, George.
No, it's going to be a huge struggle for him indeed. This race is starting to hot up, folks. It's starting to get to nitty-gritty time. Squeaky bum time nearly upon us here in Austria. Julian Naumann there with another 3-second time penalty to his name. Not ideal whatsoever. And indeed, that'll really hamper him in the battle he has with Martinez and Dylan Warren. But as we can now see, or not Dylan Warren, sorry, he's down in fact in P14 battling with Kauppinen, but that will not help him at all. Nonetheless, Sven Zerner behind him as well, as we can now see the Flying Dutchman Jarno Otmir in P2. Barry Burman still leading this race though. Preschnader in P3, watching every move that Otmir makes as they ran the next right-hander. Louis Welch with another 3-second time penalty. I make that 6, Jack, and certainly the race is not going his way now because he's currently in 4th place and he is so closely contested with the likes of Dylan Warren and Tino Nakarunen.
Dylan Warren is on for 4th place right now. This is such a great drive from Dylan in this one, and he's really putting the pressure on Louis Welch right now. He's going to get it on penalties anyway, but he'll want to get it on track. Here he comes now. Louis Welch has got nothing to answer here. Here comes Dylan Warren, P4 for the Racing Point. What a drive this is turning out to be.
Yeah, the youngster is taking names here today in Austria. Phenomenal, the Racing Point now up to P4, the Pink Panther. I wish I could say the same about Ruben Vallejo. He's currently battling with Alvaro Caraton, and Caraton managing to get one upon him there. But indeed, what a sensational race driven by Dylan Warren. The youngster, like I said, had his doubts, but he's come here today. He's done sensationally, and he could potentially be on for a podium here today, Jack. Amazing scenes here as Burman has pitted.
Bormann's in the pits, so he couldn't bring it to the end. Soft tyres for Bormann, so Otmir leads, and Preschnader is now second. So this is the battle for the win. Dylan Warren on for a podium. How about that one if he keeps it clean? Nakarunen falling out of DRS range just on the exit of turn number 1 there. But now it's Otmir versus Preschnader and Barry Bormann out. Is he going to get jumped by Caraton? Not quite, but it's the battle for the win now. Watch out for Bormann and Caraton. They're going to carve their way through the field. This is going to be a climactic end to this race.
It certainly is. We're going to ride on board with Philip Preschnader now heading down towards Sloshgold. He's trying again on Jarno Otmir, the Flying Dutchman in front now, looking to take these hard tyres to the end. He has literally got Philip Preschnader glued in behind. It's the Master versus the Apprentice. That of the Alfa Romeo car versus the Ferrari, of course. And the Ferrari customers, the engine underneath that Alfa is no less potent than this Ferrari, at least here today. As we're now seeing these two now head down towards the Jochen curve. Dylan Warren in the Racing Point trying to gather pace too, trying to close up on the back of Preschnader, which he could potentially do here. He's in P3. The Racing Point not out of the question here just yet. He's on the podium, folks. 7/10 of a second, 8/10 of a second behind him is Tino Nakarunen. It's all to play for. The battles are starting to light up here, Jack. The closing stages, Otmir could be in trouble because Philip Preschnader trying to make his way through. He's got loads of ERS and is saving it for the top of Remus, Jack.
Yeah, Preschnader is the man to watch, but Bormann's on a massive charge. He's already closed up to Tom Martinez in P5, so this is going to be such a close ending. Bormann is making good progress. Tom 97 P5, great effort so far, but Bormann is just going to eat him for breakfast here down the straight. Here he comes. Through goes Bormann. Fresh softs versus old hard tires. Next up, Tino Nakarunen. Bormann could still do this, George.
Yeah, superb from Barry Bormann. He's got the pace on the soft tyres and he's eating through this field. And as he makes his way around the next left-hander, Barry Bormann, the Iranian driver, looking absolutely sensational in this Alpha right now. Trying to close the gap now on Tino Nakarunen. I can't imagine it being too long on those new soft tyres. You can see there the Red Bull just coasting around Rid Curve now. Barry Bormann trying to let fly within a 2 seconds now. He's really eating into the Delta, and there is the Red Bull dead ahead. Bormann is on fire here, Jack.
and the fastest lap. So he's on a big charge here. Nakarinen next up, 1.7 seconds. He's got to the car in front, but he's got to clear them as quickly as possible because he's going to need every ounce of energy that he's got left in that car to close up to the top two. And he's running out of laps to do it, so this is going to be TT lap after TT lap for Barry Burman at this moment in time. Through goes Idaho on Vallejo in P8, so Idaho falling back a little bit now as a result of the pit stop. Of course, he's on 3-lap-old softs, but he's fallen a good ways behind Alvaro Carreton right now. But Barry Burman is on a charge, nearly within DRS already of Tino Nakarinen.
Yeah, he is getting really close now, Jack. He's monumentally close indeed, and well within the range to potentially strike here as he makes his way down towards the home straight. He's finding a lot more grip in the corners. The soft tyres are working like a dream for him right now as we now watch him make his way through indeed towards that final corner, the Red Bull Mobile curve, and he's right in the rear of the Red Bull Racing car heading down the stretch. He is right behind Tino as they make their way up towards the Niki Lauda curve. Here comes Barry Burman, braking later than that of Tino. He might get him even before the DRS line. Here comes Barry Burman, a sensational drive here down the inside of Tino Nakarinen and gets it done past the Flying Finn. And he's now got Dylan Moore next. The youngster has driven a superb race, but Barry Burman, with his esports experience and his hard battling, his raw pace, his talent, the Iranian goes down the outside of the corner leading into Slosh Gold, gets it done. 2 overtakes in the space of 2 corners, but look at this, Alvaro Carreton on a similar strategy, trying to battle now on Tino Nakarinen through the next left-hander, gets it done, the Spaniard on a flyer, and makes his way round, heads round the next left-hander. Incredible lap of racing, Jack, but the important answer is Burman up to P3.
6 laps to close down, 3 seconds on the leaders now. Burman is in a very, very good place right now. 20-lap-old hards versus 2-lap-old softs, 3-lap-old softs when they come across the line now. But this is a sensational strategy from Barry Burman here. But he's, of course, going to have to get up there and pass the both of them. That's another question, but he's just eating time away from the 2.6 through the first corner. He should be, if he keeps it up, he's going to easily get them.
Absolutely, but just look at this battle we've got in prospect. Prejnader still very much stuck behind Jarno Otmir, the Flying Dutchman, not out of the woods yet. Bear in mind, not forgetting Barry Burman, who's making incredible time. There is the Alpha in the distance. To Alfa Romeo on for a superb array of points here at Austria, and it would certainly go a long way towards their constructors' standings hopes at least. Ferrari engines in the front 3 positions here for now. Jarno Otmir, the Flying Dutchman, F1 Esports champion-elect here this season, currently in P1 leading the way, and Philip Prejnader in P2 for Ferrari. The Prancing Horses looking to gain a podium here today as well. Barry Burman looking to join the party to upset the Ferrari party, shall we say, and also upset Jarno Otmir. He could potentially knock down his world champion teammate, should I say, in this race. Another time penalty issued, this time for Ate Kauppinen again, but the battle rages on. 4 laps remaining, Jack. It's all to play for. Otmir, Prejnader, Burman. It's all happening here at Austria, and don't forget Carreton.
He's just taken 2 seconds out of them in a lap, George. Barry is a second and a half to closer to the back of Philip Prejnader at this moment in time. It is just looking like it's all said and done, but the laps are eating away now. These guys up front have got to defend with everything they've got right now. Prejnader just hanging in behind Otmir, just saving ERS at every point, but now Burman could be within DRS by the end of the lap.
He could well be, and he's getting so close. Oh, a little bit of a mistake there using the triggers there on the gear paddles. But as he makes his way around the next left-hander, certainly Barry Burman doing all he can. He knows he needs to try and gather the pace, and just look at the Ferrari ahead. It's starting to get closer and closer to the front end of Barry's car. A penalty issued to Julian Naumann as well as they round the final corner. Barry Burman now within half a second of the delta time in between him and Philip Prejnader, and you can see how the tyres are being affected by Barry's pace here today. 66% on 3 of the tyres, 70% on the front left. Sensational stuff here, but Barry throwing everything down. The hammer has been drawn, and Philip Prejnader knows it. He wants to challenge Jarno Otmir.
3 laps to go when we go across the line next time. Very quick laps around here. Now, Borman's got to make it work now if he wants to get the win, because those tyres are not going to last too much longer as they come down the hill. Preshnader putting the pressure on Otmir, but now it's a DRS train, George. What has Borman got in the tank to get past? It's not going to be an easy task.
No, it's going to be a huge battle. Just look at Barry, though. He's so menacing. And behind that of Philip Preshnader, as we can now see Barry Borman now, literally all over the rear end of that Ferrari. The Alfa Romeo looking absolutely prominent there in P3 as we can now watch them heading down through ring curve. Here they come, round the inside of indeed Philip Preshnader gets it done. Sensational. You hear the cheers of the crowd. Barry Borman now firing up on his teammate Jarno Otmir. It's a battle of the Alphas. But which Alpha is best, Jack? Who knows?
Well, through turn 1, it should be an easy one for Barry Borman here with the overtake, with the DRS, with the soft tyre. Otmir, is he going to defend this one? I don't think he's going to do it on his teammate. Here he comes. He's going to go for the inside line. Yes, braking late. Barry Borman takes the lead in the Austrian Grand Prix. Otmir fights it around the outside, but Borman's got it done.
No, but he's still stuck behind him, Jack. The DRS will become active at some point, but Barry's got it. But Otmir's looking for him here. Closing the door does Barry Borman. Jarno Otmir, the Flying Dutchman. Contact as they round Slosh Gold. But still, Barry Borman leads. Aggression across the circuit. The two Alphas collide. Jarno Otmir, the Flying Dutchman, left in P2. He's got Philip Preshnader behind him, but we've still got 2 laps left to go. It's not all said and done yet, Jack.
Whoa, the defence put up by Barry Borman and by Jarno Otmir, they were not having any of it of each other. They may be teammates, but they're fighting hard for this one for sure. But Borman leads with 2 laps to go. Otmir P2, still under pressure with Preshnader, but here comes Alvaro Carreton. He's got a penalty though, which is going to affect him a small bit. 3 seconds back, he's nearly got it over Tino Nakarinen at the moment, who's managed to pass Dylan Warren for P5. But Preshnader, can he get P2, or is it going to be an Alfa Romeo 1-2?
It could well be. It could well be, Jack. It certainly seems to be on the cards. Barry Borman, though, still in P1. Jarno Otmir there as well. Philip Preshnader. Look how close Carreton is as well. He's finding time on those softs as we're now going to close up towards the action up front as Preshnader is still there. But so is Jarno Otmir chasing down on Borman. And indeed, as they round Slosh Gold, heading round towards what will be Roche Bend. These battles have been intoxicating. The racing has been tremendous. Incredible scenes here as we now see the battle going on between Preshnader and Otmir, deciding who is going to be the alpha male on the podium here today. But the question is, has Borman sealed the deal? We're on the penultimate lap with 1 lap left to go. Jack, I'm not sure where it's going to go, but I think Borman might just have the advantage on this occasion.
I think he does. He's got enough in hand. He's nearly broken DRS on Jarno Otmir, and Otmir's broken DRS on Preshnader. He does not have DRS now. Carreton is within that DRS range, but it doesn't matter because Preshnader has got no penalties. Carreton's got a penalty, so it's not going to affect the finishing order at all as they come across the line here. Dylan Moore made a sensational overtake in Sector 2 on Tino Nakarinen to retake P5. Nakarinen and Josh Idawu in the fight now for P5 as they come up the hill for the last time. Warren's got absolutely no ERS to use. Nakarinen tries to go around the outside. It's going to be very, very close, but he can't quite do it. But I tell you what, George, Otmir is doing so well to stick in on the back of Barry Borman on those 25-lap old tyres. Nakarinen goes around the outside of Warren. This is amazing ending to this Grand Prix.
It is absolutely scintillating. The racing has been tremendous. Still, Barry Borman holds on to the lead. We're on the final lap, folks, as Barry Borman leads away his title contender, surely at least for now. Jarno Otmir in behind him, still gunning at the rear of the Iranian as they come around the final corner. Barry Borman will sing today, beats Jarno Otmir in the first race of the PSGL PC season, and he wins the Austrian Grand Prix. Barry Borman, your winner, folks. Otmir in second place. Third place, Philip Preshnader. Alvaro Carreton will come home in P4, but take a bow as well. Dylan Warren bringing it home in P6. Tino Nakarinen brings home P5. Josh Idawu P7. Martinez in P8. Leveche P9. But Jack, a phenomenal race to cap the starting of PSGL PC Championship. I can barely get my words out. I'm so delighted for all of these drivers. It's been a tremendous watch, and I hope you guys all enjoyed it at home.
Oh my word, what a start to the season. I was just seeing on board with Dylan Warren right there. His tyres were absolutely cooked at the end of that one. He was fighting so hard with Tino Nakarinen to the very end, but Tino just coming out on top at the very, very death right there. But Barry Burman, what a way to cap off the season right there and start the season with a win over Jarno Wotmir. I could see with the ERS, Jarno was giving it absolutely everything at the end to try and get past, but Burman responded, and a great strategy to get out in the win. So Burman from Wotmir and Philip Preschneider, debut podium in the series as well. He kept Jarno Wotmir honest the whole way through that, so he's one to watch.
Absolutely, but there's your winner, Barry Burman for Alfa Romeo. Alfa Romeo doing a 1-2 here today. Jarno Wotmir P2, Philip Preschneider brings it home in P3, Alvaro Caraton P4, Tino Nakarunen P5, Dylan Warren, a great race indeed, finishes a place higher than where he started, P6 for the young man. Josh Idawu P7, Tom 97, great drive P8, Domenico Villavecce coming in as a reserve P9, amazing race. Calvin Klein there in P10, the Dutchman doing well. Ruben Vallejo P11, Ate Kauppinen P12, Lucas UK, Louis Welch P13, Julian Naumann P14, Sven Zerner P15, Sven Noller in P16 rounds off the final runners. Matthias Collegon, Nicholas Matteo, Kyle Mitchell and Floris Spears were all DNFs in the race. But Jack, what a sensational start to racing at PSGL PC Championship. Absolutely sensational.
Yeah, that was incredible. The starting positions of all the drivers doesn't tell the story of that race, because obviously Barry Burman just looked like he went from pole to the win. Jarno Wotmir P2 to P2. Certainly wasn't as easy as that, but what a race. Unbelievable. Fastest lap in the end went to Julian Naumann, 103.9. No points for outside the top 10, unfortunately, but it was just non-stop the whole way through. But Burman, provisionally, of course, prior to stewards' inquiries or anything that might come out, is your winner. But I tell you what, Jarno Wotmir did so well to hang in at the very end on 25 lap old hards, and almost, if there was maybe a lap left, I think Jarno maybe could have gone for it, but Barry made the 2-stop work, and Jarno and Preschneider did a great job to get the 1-stop to work to the end.
Oh, they certainly did. It was an incredible battle, and amazing to see how the different strategies influenced the race. Of course, Jarno Wotmir looked to have it after that final stop by Barry Burman sank him further down the grid. But the sheer pace of the Iranian driver Barry Burman was just absolutely inspired. And I got to say, amazing to see the battles out on track. They left nothing nothing on the rig. They left it all on the track for us to see. It was just absolutely incredible to watch. The Flying Dutchman getting close, but it is going to be Barry Burman who wins the Grand Prix here today. Absolutely sensational. We are hoping we might be able to get some interviews, I got to say, we are hoping if we can secure them, and we're just going to get word on that. But Jack, if you'd like to take us through, who do you think was your driver of the day today?
Oh, driver of the day. Who do you pick in that one? Making a 2-stop work, Barry Burman, excellent. Preschneider did so well hanging there. Actually, do you know what? I'm going to give it to Dylan Warren. He put up such a good fight the whole way through that. Pity he didn't get his podium, but I mean, close to a top 5 in that grid is such a great performance. So for me, it's Dylan. For me.
I think I have to agree with you. I think after the conversations I had with him, he was so nervous heading into this one, but I was absolutely amazed to see his actions out on circuit. He was absolutely superb, and I have to say he deserves every bit of credit. He challenged them all, and he's come into his first experience at this level in PC and has absolutely done himself proud, and the Racing Point team as well. Some great points for the Pink Panthers. They have every right to be delighted with their performance here today, and certainly Ruben Vallejo finishing as well. But it's all about Dylan Warren. He was the fastest finisher of the Racing Points. We are going to have interviews very shortly, folks. We will keep you updated with the goings on, and they are currently in the waiting room. We will bring them in now for you folks. Do keep it with us. We have Barry Burman in with us as well. We're just going to move him into our comm box, hopefully. He is with us now. Barry, how are you doing?
First of all, want to hello to you, the best commentator I've ever seen.
Thank you very much.
And to everyone who are watching it. Yeah, it was like the pace, if you remember, in the previous sessions when I was driving, I was league racing. That was really like everyone knows that I'm not really well in the wet condition. And then in these break box between, in these break time, I just really worked on my wet speed, especially even race pace. And then, as you saw, in my opinion, like the wet pace was pretty good as well. And race pace was really good as well. Got only one warning in this track, and the pace was on fire, to be honest. And in the quali, wow, I was in a really pressure moments because in this type of track, if you don't have any banker, you just it's gonna be really hard to set a lap, especially when it is the last run. So for the for the last run, I didn't have any banker, but really done a good lap. Not my perfect lap and my ideal lap, I should say, because I think like .7 was possible as well, but really managed to do a lap because I knew .9 still gonna be pole. So yeah, this is the quali, and in the race, the wet pace was really good, and then after like the dry comes, the dry comes, I was really like I didn't know when to the hard, when to the medium. I really didn't know, but I just choose the medium, which is I can confirm. I think it was not the best option, but really managed to do a really good laps and won the race. Really happy.
Yeah, I got to say that's a very overwhelming summary of the race itself, and great detail as well, Barry. Superb. Just want to talk about that qualifying session because, of course, Q2 seemed to have decided a lot of what was going to happen in terms of Q3. Because when the weather comes in like that, it leaves so much uncertainty, doesn't it? Going into the back end of Q2 qualifying. Just talk us through about that. Did you know the wet weather was coming at that point? Did you jump out very, very quick to make sure that you could get your lap in time? Because I think a couple of drivers left it a bit late, didn't they?
Yes, it was like I checked the weather in the like we have something in the garage, and then we can see how is the weather going, and then I see okay the rain is coming, and just use my new tire and just did a really clean lap, and hopefully like really it was enough to get through to Q3, and I'm happy with that. I'm happy with everything in this race. Really happy with the overall performance and everything.
Well, it was a superb start to PSGL, and I'd like to congratulate you, as I'm sure Jack would as well, and everyone listening, on that superb race, and what a great win as well. Congratulations, Barry, and hopefully it'll be the first of many.
Yeah, thank you so much, and wanna say thank you to you and Jack for commentating, and everyone who is watching, and GG to Philip and Jona.
Yeah, thank you, Barry. Means a lot. Thank you very much. I'm pleased to say, folks, that we have the Flying Dutchman himself, Jana Watmere, in the broadcasting booth. Jana, we're at new pastures, new league, a new challenge, PC Championship, PSGL. How did you find it?
Yeah, it was quite tough. I wasn't able to practice a lot since there are a lot of things going on behind the scene. But later on in the season, I will be able to practice again a lot, and hopefully in 2 or 3 weeks again as well. So yeah, I'm really happy about it. Did solid qualifying, quite solid race, not a lot of mistakes. I think strategy was probably the best one I could do, and yeah, it was good, definitely.
Do you think that your race was hampered slightly? I know Barry managed to get into the box first. Do you think that was the deciding factor? I mean, would you have boxed the same lap he did if you had that option?
Yeah, probably, but well, I couldn't, so it is what it is. And I think also if I would have gone 1 lap earlier, I probably wouldn't have made it to the end on the hards. Yeah, they decided to go for a different strategy. Maybe it was a little bit faster, maybe it wasn't. I'm not sure. But yeah, I expected the rain to stay out a bit longer, so I was saving my intermediates a little bit. As the tire wear was extremely high. But yeah, it didn't. So I think I got the maximum out of it with the info I had, and yeah, quite happy about it.
Yeah, it was a superb race. I mean, you did exceptionally well because obviously the strategy didn't lend itself to you that greatly in that early stages. Obviously, prior to us knowing that maybe pitting a lap later did you a favour in a sense of tyre wear, but you had to then claw your way back. But it seemed to me that it sort of you were helped along a little bit. A lot of the drivers then boxed in for their laps, so it gave you a little bit of clear air, which helped you out quite a bit. Just to talk a little bit about Philip Prejnader as well, who's behind you. Did you feel a heavy degree of pressure from the Ferrari that was going for your rear end towards the end of the race?
No, not really. I knew he had to push really hard to stay with Josh in the early stage, so I knew his tire wear was probably extremely high. So he probably had to drive really careful in the last lap or so, last 2 laps. So I knew he was going to drop off more aggressively than me. I was able to save tires a little bit because I had to as well. So yeah, then I recharged on my ERS for the last 3 laps, and then tried to defend. But the softs were obviously a lot faster at that point.
Yeah, I mean, going back to other drivers as well. I mean, this is obviously a new league, a new platform for PSGL, should we say? We've got loads of talented drivers out on track here today. Just what do you make of the competitiveness behind this? Because it certainly seems, because I know we've worked together on previous leagues, but what do you think of the standard now? Do you think this is a different level to what we've seen before? Because I've noticed that the battles definitely were a bit closer towards the end there. It definitely seemed a lot more competitive, I think, from my angle.
Yeah, it was, of course, but overall last season was really competitive as well, especially at the start with Freddy driving in it and the hype of the new game. The level was really high. A lot of people were, of course, practicing a lot for F1 Esports. So yeah, not sure if it was higher then or now. The lap times will probably be now slightly faster. But yeah, I don't think you can really compare it at this point. But yeah, it's fun. I still enjoy league racing, so I will continue for as long as I want.
Good man, good to hear. Excellent. But I'd like to congratulate you on a great podium, grandiose battles, and we'll look forward to seeing obviously Alpha in a good spot already. P1 and P2 off the start first race. So well done, you, Jarno. Well done.
Yeah, thank you.
Next up, Philip Prejnader, the Ferrari man, prancing horse, here today in the comms box. Philip, how are you?
Pretty good. Very happy with the result. Yeah, not much to say really.
No, it was a good.
I think I got the maximum.
Yeah, it was a cracking battle from yourselves. Obviously, you were in the frame. It looked like yourself and Jarno were gonna battle right through towards the end. You got close, around 0.7 of a second, increasingly getting closer into 0.5. You were definitely in the realms of a potential overtake. Superb moves on the horizon. Obviously, some exciting times for yourself as well going forward. Just what did you make of the race in general? Did it go the way you planned, or could you have made any changes in hindsight?
Hard to say really. I think my race was kind of compromised already with the qualifying. I wasn't very happy with the lap at all, since I invalidated my bunker and qualifying 3, so I had to take it a little bit more carefully, which only gave me P5 on the grid. But obviously, in the conditions with everyone being so close pace-wise, it would be difficult to overtake. So I just tried to keep my head down, save the ERS, and yeah, on lap 8, I got the call to change the tire to soft, I think, at first, but I decided to go for hard 2 laps earlier than I was planning on. So I knew the tire would be pretty close, but I decided to risk it. And yeah, then as Jarno said, I have kind of ruined my tires because I tried to stay in the DRS of Josh, which was pretty crucial. So he could drag me along to the guys at front. But yeah, I was then saving my ERS and tried to save my tires as much as I could behind the aeronaut to maybe go for an attack with 3 to 2 laps to go. But obviously then Barry caught up, who then overtook me and kind of ruined that plan. But yeah, I tried to maybe still salvage that second place. But then, well, I think it was in the penultimate lap going into the final sector, I went over the curb and my car tried to go off the curb, and my wheels started to go really light, so I knew I was very close to a puncture. So then for the final lap, I just decided to dial everything back in. I knew Alvaro had penalty and just bring it home in P3.
Yeah, well, it was a superb effort, and it just showed you consistency as well, which was superb because you were still remaining within the delta of Jarno Watmir consistently throughout the lap, which was impressive to see. And of course, Barry Burraman being on fresh soft tyres, he had so much pace. So no surprises really that it probably finished the way it finished, but still, nonetheless, excitement building for league racing. Your return as well, of course, to league racing, something you haven't done in a little while, but pleased to be back in it and fighting amongst the rest.
I'm very happy to be back in it. with the esports, I didn't really want to commit to league racing, and I realized how much I missed it. So I'm very happy to be back in, and especially in grid this strong.
Well, it's great to have you part of it as well, Philip. We're so happy to have you here, but we'd like to congratulate you on a great podium nonetheless, and hopefully we'll see you here again in the near future without a doubt.
Hopefully.
Yeah,
I'll
good.
do my best to be here. Thank you.
No problem at all. Thank you, Philip. Thank you.
Have a nice evening.
And you too. Yeah, take care, Philip. Well done, mate. Well, Jack, that sums it up. A phenomenal race. Some very candid interviews. 3 very, I think, reasonably happy drivers. Maybe Barry being the more happier of the rest, but certainly a great race to start with at PSGL.
Yeah, absolutely. Probably the best start you could probably have wanted with everything. Just everyone is so close. The field is really competitive, and of course the calendar as well, chosen by the drivers. So there's nobody's complaining about that. Oh, they hate a track coming up. They voted for them. So it is going to be a really great calendar starting off with Austria, and can't wait for next week already. I think the full qualifying is adding in another fantastic element to the broadcast as well. It's a proper full-length evening of racing, and I hope everyone at home enjoyed it as much as we did.
Yeah, we've also got news and word, folks, that the HUD telemetry will be issuing on the next update. We have heard an eliminations HUD, so we'll be able to look at it in greater detail and certainly throw in some added drama into qualifying as well. So very exciting to bring that. Obviously, big thank you to Gary Swallow and Akis Fody of the WCP series for supplying me with this telemetry kit and this HUD kit. Absolutely amazing. And Jack, I suppose, do you want to talk about the telemetry software you've been using as well?
Yeah, absolutely. A big shout out to Thibaut for the IGK the task system, which I was using during that race. It is a great piece of kit. I noticed people were using it in the live chat as well, which was given the YouTube commands to see the fastest lap times of all the drivers, how many laps their tires are, how old their tires are, how many penalties they've got. Meanwhile, I'm here looking at all their live ERS levels all at once, their tire wear, their damage on the front wing. It's just never ending. I mean, it is a fantastic piece of software, fantastic for qualifying as well, seeing all the split times all at once. So, really, it's a fantastic piece of software, and I'm loving using it so far. It's going to be great to use it throughout the season because I like all my stats. I'm a bit of a nerd like that. I like all these little things that usually you wouldn't care about, or you wouldn't notice on the broadcast, but I absolutely love it. So big shout out to Thibaut and for the IGK task system. Absolutely brilliant piece of kit.
Yeah, absolutely superb. So we're so lucky to have these facilities here as commentators, and we hope you all enjoyed the race as well. More importantly, you guys who make this happen. Of course, we broke a PSGL record here tonight. We breached well over the 180 viewers live mark. Amazing scenes. I'd like to thank every single one of you for joining us here today and tonight, should I say. Don't forget to leave a like and a subscribe as well to the channel and to the video, and please do support us for more in the future. Like Jack said, more racing ahead here at PSGL PC Championship. We'll look forward to bringing it to you. But from me and Jack, it's been a pleasure. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.